Welcome to our first RRG Marathon. Today, we'll be taking a look back at our messiest red flag videos in no particular order. Since some of our older videos are in our classier format, we've updated the commentary with some Adlibs and karaoke sessions by yours truly that we know your little messy self is gonna love. Ski. Before we get into this hot, stankin' mess, you're gonna need something to munch on to get you through this marathon. So head on over to rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of Western barbecue bacon jerky, green apple licorice, and butter toffee peanuts. That sounds good as hell. Kenny Lattimore and Judge Faith Jenkins. Originally published on October 4th, 2022, we caught a lot of heat for this video. Child, we even received an email from someone in the industry who said we should be ashamed of ourselves for posting this kind of content online. That bitch. Although our videos are for entertainment purposes only, we still stand behind everything we share on our platform, including all the red flags in this particular relationship. Now, are y'all ready to revisit one of our most controversial red flag videos? Do chitlins stink? Hell yeah, I'm ready. Okay, let's get into it. Judge Faith Jenkins has settled comfortably into her life as a television personality and as the wife of R&B singer Kenny Lattimore. This was one coupling we didn't expect, and once they went public with their romance, it appeared that they were making a mad dash to the altar. Although we're huge fans of both of them separately, there are several things about their relationship that gave us, well, you know.
Your second husband, Kenny Lattimore, is gay.
If you can't stand it when we dig into other people's business, don't bother watching this video. For the rest of y'all, you know this is about to be some mess. You know we love us a good backstory, and this story wouldn't be complete without giving you some insight into Faith and Kenny's respective lives before they became husband and wife. Kenneth Lattimore was born on April 10, 1970 in Washington, D.C. At the age of 5, he experienced the unthinkable. During his episode of Unsung, he said the incident made him dislike men for several years, and he would jump whenever someone touched him. In an open letter for the Griot website, Kenny said the incident made him retreat within himself, and he became so shy he could barely speak to anyone. Eventually, in his teenage years, he said God intervened and compelled him to greet people with a hug. He wrote, "Little did I know, this simple gesture would begin to break down some of the physical barriers I had built in my life." But still, he carried the shame for many years, and it left him feeling unworthy of being in a relationship. He didn't know how his partners would react, so he buried the information for many years. At some point, he decided it was time to put the past behind him and get on with his life. In 2001, he met singer Shantae Moore. Their first conversation lasted 5 hours, and Kenny said he knew she was the one. After 6 months of dating, they got married. Child, these celebs be rushing to the altar, don't they? Not only did he commit to Shantae, but he committed to being a stepfather to her daughter, Sophia, from her previous marriage to Kadeem Hardison. They collaborated on music together, and they welcomed their son, Kenny Jr., in 2003. The birth of their son brought Kenny's childhood experience back to the surface. During a 2007 interview with Essence magazine, he stated he was hyper-vigilant and protecting his son's innocence was his top priority. In January 2011, Shantae was tired of having a man at home, so she filed for divorce. Kenny seemingly blamed her for the demise of their marriage. When he told the Tom Joyner morning show, people get into relationships and feel like they have the things that they need, and maybe they really don't, and maybe they haven't dealt with their issues and who they are. 2 years later, Shantae appeared on R&B Divas LA and claimed Kenny had served her with papers to gain full custody of their son. During the show's reunion episode, which was hosted by Wendy Williams, Wendy brought up a rumor about Kenny's sexuality. Wendy's staying some mess.
For years, wondering whether your second husband, Kenny Lattimore, is gay. And perhaps that was the nature of your divorce.
No.
But you're not answering the first question.
Well, that's not for me to respond to.
After hearing about the episode, Kenny told Singer's Room website that Shantae's response was irresponsible and reckless. He added, "It hurt our son, it hurt other people, and it was unnecessary." Shantae wasn't done though. During an interview with Juicy Magazine, she was asked about Kenny's sexuality once again. This time, she said she had no idea what his life was like before they met. Then she added, "Being that he isn't my husband anymore, I leave it up to him to answer because that's his life." From then on, the public became more and more fixated on Kenny's private life. Even Shantae's R&B Divas co-star Lil Mo chimed in about the allegations during an interview with the Jasmine brand. Lil Mo stated, "Truth be told, people say Usher's gay. People say Justin Bieber's gay. They say everybody's gay. So I don't know. I've never seen him with a man." Despite all of the drama, Kenny was open to finding wife number 2. During an interview, he said, "When I do it again, I will leave other people out, except those who are truly ministering and feeding into the success of my marriage." Meanwhile, Faith was in New York and struggling to find a suitable partner. In her book titled Sis, Don't Settle, which we've also linked for you in the description box, she said as she got older, more people began to question why she didn't have a man. Due to all the pressure from people who were anxious for her to settle down, Faith admitted to Essence magazine that the scrutiny caused her to jump into relationships with the wrong men. After another breakup, she decided it was time to take a step back and write down a list of 50 qualities she needed in a partner. She also set some ground rules for herself. You will not hold on to a relationship when it's time for it to end. You will let it go. She also wrote a note to herself that her husband was on the way. 6 months later, she reached out to her friend, gospel producer Aaron Lindsay, to see if he knew anyone who could help her record some Christmas music. Aaron suggested his friend Kenny, and he also mentioned that Faith and Kenny might actually be a good match for each other. Aaron coordinated for Faith and Kenny to meet for lunch, and when Faith saw Kenny in the flesh, she noticed that his clothes were tailored to perfection and his smile brightened up the entire room. However, she wasn't sure if they would have much in common. She always thought she would marry a lawyer and become part of a power couple. She wasn't particularly interested in dating an R&B singer who was constantly on the road and had countless female fans. She told Us Weekly she didn't feel any sparks at first, and Kenny didn't think she was interested because she wasn't openly flirting with him. Faith was also in a bit of a vulnerable position. She was unemployed at the time, and she didn't know how Kenny would respond to her being in between jobs. However, after a 2-hour conversation, she knew he was someone special. Kenny was kind, humble, smart, and genuine. She felt a sense of peace and calm when she was with him. By their 4th date, it clicked for both of them. Looking back on her list of 50 requirements, Kenny checked every box, except for his height. Faith really wanted a man over 6 feet tall, but she cut 5'10" Kenny some slack. Eeny weeny teeny weeny shrivel little short man. Don't want. So at this point in their lives, Kenny was trying to drown out all the chatter about his preference, and Faith, as a 40-plus woman in the spotlight, was still feeling pressured to find a partner. Do you see where we're going with this? Hell yeah! They became an item and set some clear boundaries from the start. They knew they wanted to get married at some point, so they decided that intimacy could wait until after they became husband and wife. No boot knocking? According to My Well Clinic website, researchers found that those who wait until marriage compared to those who don't report significantly higher relationship satisfaction and better communication patterns. And waiting seemed to really work for Faith and Kenny. They got to know each other without their judgment being clouded. When marriage became a more serious discussion, Kenny kept his promise to only surround himself with people who were feeding into the success of their relationship. In her book, Faith wrote that they had a community of, quote, relationship board of directors. She and Kenny ensured that each person they went to for advice and support was in a loving marriage and was committed to seeing Kenny and Faith go all the way. Two people they brought into their inner circle included their mutual friend and their matchmaker, Aaron Lindsay, and his wife, Adrienne. They also leaned on the advice of Devon Franklin and his then-wife, Megan Good.
Wasn't their marriage on the rocks?
In her book, Faith wrote that Devon's candor made him the perfect resource. She also admired the God-fearing marriage he and Megan had. Faith went on to describe Devon as being such a blessing in their lives that she and Kenny asked him to officiate their future wedding. Faith brought up pre-engagement counseling to Kenny, who agreed it was a great idea. After realizing they were indeed a good match and Faith being understanding of Kenny's past, Kenny was ready to seal the deal. In September 2019, while taking a stroll through Central Park, Kenny got down on one knee and asked for her hand in marriage, and Faith said yes. So, 11 months after writing that note to herself that she would meet her husband, Faith got engaged to the man of her dreams. They took to their Instagram accounts to share the news. In his post, Kenny wrote that Faith was the total package. He also thanked Devon and Megan for their leadership and for their 2017 co-authored book titled The Wait, which Kenny and Faith used as a resource. In case you're unaware, The Wait, which we've also linked for you in the description box, is all about how Devon and Megan abstained from intimacy until they were married and how waiting can help transform any relationship. Kenny and Faith started planning their wedding and invited 300 guests, including Stevie Wonder,
I bet Stevie saw the red flags.
Cheryl Lee Ralph, and MC Lyte. In March 2020, just as the pandemic was wreaking havoc on the world, they became husband and wife, with Devon officiating the ceremony at a church in downtown LA. Wendy Williams announced the news of their nuptials on an episode of her talk show, and she took the moment as an opportunity to reignite the rumors about Kenny's sexuality. Here's a clip from the show that we obtained from the Jasmine brand.
Oh, and Judge Faith, wait, the best part of the story, congratulations on your wedding over the weekend. She married who? Kenny Lattimore. Judge Faith, I have a secret to tell you, but I can't. Nope.
Is this a case of where there's smoke, there's fire? Or was Wendy just being a hater?
What about both of
In
them?
August 2020, Faith finally landed a job as the new judge on divorce court. She also started writing her relationship book based on her personal experiences and the cases she handled on the TV court show. As soon as the book was released in November 2021, we saw more red flags. Here at RRG, we've read dozens of memoirs written by celebrities who think they're qualified to give relationship advice, all while their marriages are crumbling behind the scenes. We've linked a few of them for you in the description box. As for Faith, she had only been married to Kenny for a year and a half when she decided to share her dating advice with the world like she was some kind of relationship expert or something. And of course, Devon gave her book a cosign. In a quote that was printed in an advertisement for her book, Devon wrote that Faith's wisdom and insight will motivate everyone to never settle for less than their worth.
Boy, stop lying.
While Faith was promoting her book, Kenny was promoting his 8th studio album called Here to Stay. He told CBN News that Faith became his muse and the inspiration behind his new music, and we kind of wonder if he once said the same thing about Shantae. And although they tried to surround themselves with the best examples of love, their inner circle confidants began to crumble when Devon filed for divorce from Megan in December 2021 after 9 years of marriage.
See, I knew it.
In 2022, Faith was replaced by Star Jones on divorce court, and as of this video, she's now the executive producer and host of the Oxygen series Killer Relationship. And in August 2022, 44-year-old Faith and 52-year-old Kenny announced they were expecting their first child together. They announced the birth of their daughter Skylar in January 2023. We're happy Faith and Kenny found love with one another, but this is one relationship we'll definitely be keeping an eye on. As for now, we wish them nothing but the best. Beyoncé and Jay-Z. Our RRG besties constantly begged us to do a red flag video on Beyonce and Jay-Z's relationship. And for a while, we didn't think the video was a good idea, since Beyonce and Jay have been so tight-lipped about their relationship for decades. However, in November 2022, we came through for our besties in a major way by getting our Inspector Gadget on to uncover all the juicy details about their relationship. Thanks to all of our supporters, and the haters too, don't forget the haters. This video just reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congrats, besties!
We did it, Joe.
Yep, we put our foot in this one. Now, go ahead and open up your snacks, and let's get into this HSM hot, stinking mess. First, let's peel back the layers of their respective childhoods. Why? Because studies have shown that adverse childhood experiences can affect an adult's interpersonal relationships. Growing up in Houston, Texas, Beyonce watched her parents break up and reconcile several times. Her mom, Tina, described Beyonce's dad, Matthew, as being obsessed with trying to turn Beyonce into a star. He quit his corporate job, and according to Texas Monthly website, Tina became the breadwinner by working long hours at her hair salon. The financial strain wasn't the only thing that drove a wedge between them. In a book called Becoming Beyonce, which we've linked for you in the description box, Matthew allegedly got caught up in a web of narcotics and kinky intimate acts with people other than his wife.
Lord, this
During
is
one of their separations, they sold their family home, and Tina, Beyonce, and her younger sister Solange moved into an apartment. A man named David Lee Brewer Jr., who claims to be Beyonce's childhood vocal coach, wrote a book called Beyonce Raising Genius, which we've linked for you in the description box. In the book, David claims Matthew and Tina's relationship was a business arrangement, and there was infidelity on both sides. In a jaw-dropping revelation, David alleges that Tina had an affair with her now husband, Richard Lawson, when she was married to Matthew. Around the same time Destiny's Child got signed to Columbia Records, Tina and Matthew reconciled, only for Tina to file for divorce in 2009. They got back together in 2010, and Tina filed for divorce again after Matthew got 2 women pregnant.
Child, he was sticking it everywhere.
Their divorce was finalized in 2011. And what does all of this have to do with Beyonce? Well, even if parents try their hardest to cover up the dysfunctional dynamics of their relationship, children can pick up on tension, anger, and resentment in the household. Dr. Rebecca Burgeon told Brides.com that our early years set the bar for how we see, give, and receive love and what we tolerate in our adult relationships. As for Jay-Z, he grew up as one of 4 children in Brooklyn, New York. After his dad's brother lost his life, it caused his dad to slip into a life of alcohol and substance abuse. Around the age of 11 or 12, his dad left. Jay told GQ, "My dad was such a good dad that when he left a huge scar. He was my superhero." Jay felt abandoned. He told Playboy magazine it caused him to be more closed off, which made him have difficulty forming relationships. In 2000, 18-year-old Beyonce and the members of Destiny's Child appeared at MTV's Spring Break Festival in Cancun. 30-year-old Jay-Z was there as well. In the song 713 from their joint album, Jay-Z raps that they ended up sitting next to each other on the plane ride back home. Jay says it took a while before they spoke to each other again. And why was that? Well, according to Jay, Beyonce was seeing someone else, her childhood sweetheart, Lyndall Locke, whom she started dating sometime around 1993.
They start dating early in Texas, don't they?
Beyonce's Uncle Larry spilled all their little business in an interview with Celebuzz website. Uncle Larry said Beyonce wasn't interested in Jay at first because she wasn't attracted to him.
Girl, stop lying.
But over time, she fell in love with his mind. Jay, Beyonce, Missy Elliott, Maxwell, and a bunch of other entertainers posed for the 2001 cover of Vanity Fair's music issue. Jay later told the publication that during the time of the photo shoot, they were, quote, just beginning to try to date each other. When asked what he meant by the word try, he responded, "You got to dazzle, wine and dine." We're not sure what kind of wine he was buying 20-year-old Beyonce, but either way, they had their first date at Nobu Restaurant. And when Jay showed up, he had a friend with him.
A friend?
He later called it the first foolish mistake he made in their relationship. They went on to make sweet music together, including their first duet, the 2002 song "03, Bonnie and Clyde." During a video released in conjunction with his album 444, Jay admitted he didn't enter into their relationship by being 100% honest. But was he the only one that was untruthful? Apparently not, and there might have been a bit of an overlap between the end of Beyoncé's relationship with Lyndall and the start of her relationship with Jay. She allegedly dumped Lyndall in 2003 after 10 years of dating. He asked her about the rumors that she had something going on with Jay, reportedly denied it, and told Lyndall, "He's not even my type." Beyoncé was all in and reportedly crazy in love, while Jay was still playing the cool guy act. During an April 2003 interview with Playboy magazine, he referred to Beyoncé as just a friend. When he was asked if he was as close to her as he was to rapper Memphis Bleek, Jay said no. And he added, "Memphis been with me since 1994. Between Beyoncé and him, Beyoncé's got to go."
Bros before hoes.
Jay reunited with his father right before his 2003 passing. The loss of his dad reportedly opened him up to giving and receiving love. One of his friends told Rolling Stone, "I've never seen him sprung like this. He cares about her, gives her great advice. He wants his woman to look right. They adore each other." Although they appeared at several red carpet events, they dodged questions about their relationship. Beyoncé later told Essence magazine that they made a joint decision to keep their private life private. She added, "I know that Jay and I probably do inspire people, and I appreciate people feeling proud. But this is the only way I've been able to stay sane. So why would I start talking now? Not speaking controls your brand." And what did her parents think about her dating someone 12 years older than her? Despite Jay leaving the streets behind and making positive changes to be a better person, it appeared that Beyoncé's dad, Matthew, could see right through him. Because, as they say, game recognized game.
I know that's right.
During a November 2006 interview with NPR, Matthew was asked, "Tell us what you really thought about Jay-Z as the guy for your daughter." Matthew's answer was, "What went through my mind was next question. Did you get that? Next." The London Mirror also quoted Matthew as saying he didn't care for Jay at all. He added, "No, I'm not close to him. He is not somebody I like to spend time with."
Dang, dog.
Was Papa Bear jealous that his baby girl was growing up and had another man in her life? Or did he see the red flags waving all over the place? Beyoncé describes herself as a non-traditional woman, so when they decided to get married, she didn't even want an engagement ring. She told Essence magazine that people put too much emphasis on the ring, and it's just silly to her because it's a material object. However, she was spotted wearing a $5 million emerald cut diamond ring. She and Jay also got matching tattoos of the Roman numeral 4 on their ring fingers, since the number 4 is of significance to them. She didn't even care about having a huge wedding. Since she had walked down so many red carpets with cameras flashing in her face, it diminished her need to be the center of attention on her wedding day. But still, they planned their special day in secrecy and set a date for April 4th, 2008. Months before their wedding, Jay was reportedly in Miami to film a commercial when he met Olivia McFaller, an up-and-coming rapper. During an interview with Radar Online, Olivia said she was on set at the commercial and hanging out with her sister when Jay moved his chair next to hers. They chatted for a few and then he left. Olivia said one of Jay's bodyguards approached her and said Jay wanted her number so he could call her when he was back in town.
For the most part, Jay hit me on some, "I will reach you when I'm in town."
He wanted you to be his girl Friday.
He wanted me to be his girl when he's in town.
Olivia said she thought it was immature for him to ask for her number through his bodyguard, and she also didn't want to be disrespectful toward Beyoncé, so she refused to give him her number. They reportedly ran into each other again at Nobu in Miami. She said she was with her group of friends, and Jay was with his group of friends, which included Beyoncé's sister, Solange. Olivia said they both left their tables and met up in a private corridor, where they finally exchanged numbers. Olivia told Radar Online, "Solange walked right past and kind of peeped the whole thing, stared me down like, 'You see me, right?'" Nothing came from the entire situation, and Olivia tried to capitalize off the scandal by releasing a song called Sorry, Mrs. Carter. As for her rap career, well, it never really popped off. Beyoncé and Jay tied the knot on April 4, 2008 in an intimate ceremony in Jay's Tribeca penthouse. 2 years later, Jay was in the middle of a cheating scandal. Hollywood Street King blog, better known as HSK, reported that Jay had been seeing a woman since before he and Beyoncé got married. The woman was identified as a publicist named Kathy White. In online photos, she appeared to be well connected to several people in the industry, including TV personality Claudia Jordan. After doing some digging, HSK uncovered a photo from 2009 of Jay sitting at a table at a nightclub in Las Vegas with a few people, including Diddy, and guess who was also sitting at the table? Kathy. Oddly enough, the image has been scrubbed from the internet. Yes, it literally poofed into thin air. An insider told HSK that Jay bought Kathy a pair of $2,500 Louis Vuitton shoes to wear for their night out in Vegas. And he also told her to bring a bunch of friends so people wouldn't suspect that they were a couple. Now, here's where things get messy. HSK claimed that sources were made aware of Kathy and Jay's affair through Kathy's friend, Jason Lee. Could this be the same Jason Lee who runs Hollywood Unlocked?
The same Jason Lee that Beyoncé hilariously tried to avoid at the 2019 Rock Nation brunch?
We're unsure. But one thing we do know is that back during those days when HSK was the most poppin' blog on the internet, the website owner had to dodge lawsuits all the time. And if the report about Jay and Kathy was false, surely Jay's people would have reached out to HSK to get the blog post removed, right? Well, they didn't. And 10+ years later, all of the posts about Jay and Kathy's alleged relationship are still posted on HSK's website. And we've provided links to the juicy tea in our description box. So anyway, after running the story and the internet going wild over the allegations, Kathy deleted her social media accounts. From there, the story went quiet. For a bit. As Jay became more involved in Beyoncé's career, an insider told Celebuzz that Beyoncé's dad was pushed to the side. The insider added, "There's no bigger controller than Jay. Beyoncé is great, but she'd be a little lower on the totem pole if it weren't for hooking up with Jay." The insider said Beyoncé went from being under the control of her dad to being under the control of her husband. And as much as she wanted to make her own decisions, there was always a man around pulling her strings. Beyoncé severed ties with her dad and fired him as her manager in 2011 amid accusations of theft. She now has her own management company called Parkwood Entertainment.
Free Chloe Bailey.
That same year, she announced her first pregnancy at the 2011 MTV VMA Awards. 4 days later, 29-year-old Kathy, the woman who was rumored to be Jay's mistress, passed away from an alleged brain aneurysm. Blue Ivy was born in 2012, and 2 years later, there was more trouble in paradise. After Solange and Jay's elevator fight, many people suspected the altercation was due to Jay possibly cheating on Beyoncé. A Houston radio station asked Matthew to chime in on the rumors. In his response, Matthew pretty much said it was a PR stunt, or in his terms, it was all a Jedi mind trick.
Come again now.
The Carters kicked off their On the Run tour in the summer of 2014, and Beyoncé changed several of her song lyrics to fuel the rumors that Jay was stepping out on her. And then came a blind item report that their marriage was nothing more than a business arrangement that was hanging on by a thread. Now, if this is true, it sounds eerily similar to what people said about Tina and Matthew's relationship. Don't you agree? An insider told the New York Post, "They made the classic mistake of thinking a child would change everything and help to rekindle the initial fire, and it didn't." Another insider told Page 6 that Beyoncé and Jay knew they were the king and queen of hip-hop and they weren't ready to lose their titles. The insider speculated that they would stay married but live separate lives. The source added, "They are business people first, entertainers second. Husband and wife comes somewhere down the line."
After wrapping up their tour, Us Weekly reported Beyoncé was making moves to end their marriage. The publication also reported she had been looking at apartments in Manhattan without Jay by her side. When Beyoncé dropped her 2016 album Lemonade, she alluded to Jay cheating, as well as the hurt and anger she felt, and the mysterious Becky with the good hair. In her song Daddy Lessons, she seemingly compares her parents' failed marriage to her own. She sings, "You remind me of my father, a magician, able to exist in two places at once. In the tradition of men in my blood, you come home at 3 a.m. and lie to me. What are you hiding?" Jay dropped his 444 album in June 2017, where he also opens up about the troubles in their marriage. It wasn't until a November 2017 interview with the New York Times that he finally fessed up and admitted he was a cheater pumpkin eater. Some people were turned off by the belief that the Carters were monetizing their marital issues, while others were all ears for the tea. In an essay for Vogue magazine, Beyoncé said she had been through it all in terms of betrayals and heartbreaks. She wrote, "I have had disappointments in business partnerships as well as personal ones, and they all left me feeling neglected, lost, and vulnerable." In another essay, she wrote how coming from a lineage of broken male-female relationships, abuse of power, and mistrust affected her. Many people hoped Beyoncé would break free from the generational curse that appeared to be wreaking havoc in her life. But instead, she and Jay welcomed twins in 2017. And if you watched our Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake video, then you've already heard the term Band-Aid baby, which is a term that's used to describe a child that's conceived in order to help a couple's failing relationship. Were the twins Band-Aid babies? We're unsure. However, during a 2018 interview with Van Jones, Jay stated their marriage was headed in the right direction.
You can be in love with someone, and if you haven't experienced love and you don't understand it and you don't have the tools to move forward, then you're gonna have complications, period.
Are we on point with these red flags, or are we tripping? Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. The popularity of this video caught us by surprise. We had no idea our besties would be interested in Tom and Gisele. But come to find out, y'all's messy behinds will watch anything that has the words hot, stankin' mess in the title. I know that's right. Are y'all ready to watch one of the most popular red flag videos that we've ever created? Is Jada Pinkett nuttier than squirrel shit? Okay, let's jump into it. Her relationship with Leonardo DiCaprio ended in 2005 after she reached his age limit. Y'all messy as hell. And Gisele put herself back on the market. Meanwhile, Tom was in a relationship with actress and model Bridget Moynihan, whom he started dating in 2004. During a December 2006 interview with the Boston Herald, Gisele was asked about her celebrity crushes. She answered, "Tom Brady, definitely not too shabby. He's pretty cute. All-American. That's a good way to describe him." But knowing Tom was in a very public relationship with Bridget, Gisele made sure to add, "He's cute, but if he has a girlfriend, he's gay to me. There are too many men in the world to go after a man who has a woman." Girl, stop lying. In December 2006, which was the same month Gisele stated Tom was her celebrity crush, Tom and Bridget broke up. And within weeks, Gisele and Tom were hooked up on a blind date. She told The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon that it was practically love at first sight. She added, "You know, when I saw those kind eyes, I literally fell in love, like right away. I was like, what? He was just so, you know, how sweet he is." So they became an item, and Gisele was spotted at his football games. Everything was all hunky-dory up until 2 months later in February 2007 when Bridget found out she was pregnant. And Tom was her baby's daddy. To be clear, Bridget got pregnant before she and Tom broke up. But either way, Tom told Howard Stern that both women were stuck in a situation that wasn't ideal. Gisele told CBS that she grappled over her decision to stay or walk away. In the end, she decided that Tom was her man, and she was gonna stick beside him.
Oh, this is messy.
Tom and Bridget did their best to remain cordial as well. Bridget told Page Six that Tom showed up for the August 2007 birth of their son, John, but, quote, certainly wasn't holding my hand while I pushed. Gisele fell in love with the baby immediately, and she and Bridget formed a tight friendship as well. 28-year-old Giselle and 31-year-old Tom got married in February 2009, and Bridget later married investment banker Andrew Frankel in 2015. Giselle told People magazine that she and Tom decided to focus on their respective careers and agreed to wait 10 years before having children. However, after spending so much time with Tom's son, Giselle had a burning desire to have children of her own. Within weeks of tying the knot, Giselle got pregnant, and they welcomed their son Benjamin in December 2009. Now, let's do the math. Tom and Giselle got married and welcomed their child all in the same year. In other words, they rushed through the newlywed phase and jumped straight into parenthood. Of course, this works for some couples, but did it work for Tom and Giselle? Keep watching to find out with your nosy self.
I'm a watch girl.
Their daughter Vivian was born in December 2012, and while Tom put all of his energy into training, practicing, traveling, and playing with the New England Patriots, Giselle devoted her time to being a hands-on mom. Tom told Good Morning America he was thankful that Giselle sacrificed so many of her dreams for their family. On his TB12 Sports website, Tom shares his daily routine that helps him dominate on the gridiron. His day starts at 6 a.m. and ends at 9 p.m. Oddly enough, we notice that his schedule doesn't include spending quality time with his family. From what we've gathered, Tom and Giselle's life centered around his football career, even during the off-season. And for a while, she was his biggest supporter. In 2012, she emailed their closest friends and family members and asked them for a special request ahead of Tom's Super Bowl matchup against the New York Giants. The letter read, "So I kindly ask all of you to join me on this positive chain and pray for him so he can feel confident, healthy, and strong. Envision him happy and fulfilled, experiencing with his team a victory this Sunday."
I would have sent that mess straight to the trash.
Apparently, someone on her email list thought the message was a bunch of tomfoolery, so they leaked it to the press. Sadly, the prayer warriors also failed to help the Patriots win the Super Bowl that year, and Giselle famously lashed out at Tom's teammates for failing to catch the football. So what were things like at home for Tom and Giselle? Well, to coincide with Tom's workouts, Giselle had the entire family on a dreadful diet that clearly doesn't include any of the goodies we sell at rrgsnacks.com.
Somebody pass me another bag of peanuts.
Their chef told Us Weekly that 80% of their meals are vegetables. They don't consume sugar, white flour, or anything with MSG. Their chef only cooks with raw olive oil or coconut oil, and Tom refrains from consuming tomatoes, peppers, mushrooms, and eggplants because they're not anti-inflammatory. Oh, and get this. They also stay away from coffee, fungus, dairy, and anything with caffeine. Sounds miserable if you ask us, but the strict diet has Tom in tip-top shape at his grown age, and Giselle's body is still banging after all these years. And when Tom wasn't consumed by football, he demanded Giselle's full attention. He told Man of the World magazine, "I like attention from her, so when I'm not getting it, I let her know in immature ways like a young, immature child would."
That's a man-child right there.
When asked to elaborate, Tom said he would throw fits, start pouting, and whine until Giselle gave him what he wanted. He also admitted to E! News that he would disrupt the routine she had for their children. Tom described Giselle as being strict, and when he was around, he allowed the kids to break a lot of rules, whether it be giving them extra time on their electronic devices, letting them stay up later, or allowing them to skip out on their chores in the morning. He also revealed that when he was at home, he was more lenient and didn't force their children to adhere to Giselle's crazy diet. Now, let's get into Giselle's wants and needs. Was she fulfilled in their marriage?
Hell no.
Apparently not. During a 2018 SiriusXM interview, Tom admitted that the night before the interview, Giselle begged him 3 times to retire from football. 3 times. And he looked at her and said, "Too bad, babe. I'm having too much fun right now."
This ninja.
Sources report that Tom's refusal to step away from the game was one of the biggest issues they had in their marriage. Following their 9-year wedding anniversary, Tom told Howard Stern that Giselle wrote him a letter. It wasn't a love note, though. She ripped into him and explained how unhappy she was. Giselle was reportedly frustrated with Tom's lack of work-life balance, and she didn't feel he was doing his part for their family. She also wanted to focus on her own dreams, but she couldn't because Tom was busy doing him, and she was left as the sole person responsible for running their household. Tom said the letter lit a fire under him, and they went to couples therapy to work through their issues. Maybe the professional help worked for a little while. But by 2015, their marriage was in shambles once again. Tom was suspended for 4 games for his role in Deflategate, a scandal involving the allegation that Tom instructed the Patriots footballs be deflated to give them an edge over the Indianapolis Colts during a January 2015 AFC Championship game. A source told Us Weekly that following the scandal, Tom and Giselle were having intense fights due to Tom's, quote, very nasty and irritable behavior. According to The Insider, Tom was taking his anger out on his wife, and things got so heated, Giselle consulted a divorce lawyer. The couple also chose to celebrate their birthdays separately that year. By the summer of 2015, their marriage was still a hot, stankin' mess. An insider told People magazine that Tom was nasty and cold when he was engrossed in his own problems, and then he found himself in the middle of a scandal. In June 2015, Ben Affleck was on a family trip in the Bahamas with his then-wife Jennifer Garner and their children. He left the trip with the family's nanny on a private jet and met up with Tom in Las Vegas for a charity poker tournament. Tom then joined Ben, the nanny, and a few other people on the private jet headed back to Los Angeles. While mid-flight, Tom allowed the nanny to wear his Super Bowl rings.
Oh, hell no.
So why the heck was the nanny on the trip in the first place, and without the children she was paid to watch over? We're unsure, but 10 days later, Ben and Jennifer announced their marriage was over. Us Weekly reported that after finding out about the trip, Giselle threatened to file for divorce. But by the start of the 2015 football season, they had put their marital troubles behind them. But it appeared that Giselle was still the one making all of the sacrifices. In 2015, she retired from the runway after 20 years in the fashion industry to focus on her family and other business and charitable endeavors. It would have been a great time for Tom to retire as well, but since he was still passionate about competing, Giselle found a way to get involved in his job as well. Tom told CBS that Giselle used a form of witchcraft to help him win some of his championship games, including in 2019. Ahead of the Patriots' matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, Giselle gave him healing and protection stones and a necklace. She also gave him some kind of liquid to consume. But it gets even wilder. Tom said Giselle set up an altar at the game. Yes, at the game. We can only assume Giselle was doing some kind of chants in her box seats. Whatever she was doing up in them folks' stadium worked out, and the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Giselle told Tom, "You're lucky you married a witch." Was she also using witchcraft to keep their marriage intact? We're unsure, but Tom was actively making changes to strengthen their relationship. He stopped attending organized team activities during the off-season to spend more time with Giselle and their children. But don't get it twisted, football and everything about football were always his top priorities. Case in point, in September 2019, Antonio Brown, better known as Mr. Hot Mess Express, signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots. And according to NBC Sports, Tom allowed Antonio to stay with him and his family at their Brookline, Massachusetts home. Now, if you don't understand why this is a red flag, then we suggest you watch our Antonio video after we wrap things up here. In 2020, after 20 seasons with the Patriots, Tom took his talents to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He and his family rented a 30,000 square foot mansion from former baseball player Derek Jeter. During his first season with the Bucs, the team won the Super Bowl. Season, Antonio joined the Bucs. Once again, Tom allowed Antonio to crash at his home until he could find a place of his own. Tom told a media outlet, "Antonio is a good friend of mine. He's just getting settled, and I know he's looking for places, but it's just nice to be able to have him around." Wait a second. It's nice to have a man that has terrorized women in your home? A man that has publicly and repeatedly disrespected and embarrassed the mother of his children? Child, whatever. It was clear that Tom wasn't keeping up with Antonio's social media antics, and he was more concerned with having one of the league's best wide receivers on his team so he could take home another Super Bowl ring. During a game against the New York Jets, Antonio ripped off his shoulder pads, tossed his gloves and shirt into the crowd, and ran off the field. Tom told the press that Antonio's time with the Bucks was over. It was obvious that their friendship was donezo as well. Gisele's dreams came true in February 2022 when Tom announced he was retiring from the NFL after 22 seasons. Finally, she could have his full, undivided attention. Or not. A little over a month after announcing his retirement, Tom said, "Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished?" He decided to return to the Buccaneers for the 2022 season to take care of some unfinished business, and Gisele appeared to be on board with it at first. Sources later reported that she was concerned about Tom's health and the repeated concussions he suffered while on the field. She wanted to be able to live a long and healthy life with her husband, and every time he stepped out on the field, there was a possibility it could be his last. It only takes one hit to end someone's NFL career. Tom has 7 Super Bowl wins under his belt, and he's a future Hall of Famer. He could walk away from the game today and go down in history as one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So why does he refuse to retire while he's still at the top of his game? Does he hate being at home with Gisele and them kids that much?
That's what I want to know.
At the start of his 23rd NFL season, the cracks in his marriage came to a head. Tom missed 11 days of training in August 2022, and he returned to the team looking like Fire Marshal Bill.
Let me show you something.
A month later, Page Six reported Gisele and Tom had been in a series of heated arguments over his decision to unretire. Gisele reportedly got so fed up, she said, "Peace out," and fled to Costa Rica, leaving Tom to hold down the fort and take care of their children. Tom's former friend Antonio has inserted himself into this mess as well by trolling Tom with several social media photos, including a picture of him and Gisele embracing after a Super Bowl win. Antonio also shared another image of Tom and Gisele on the field, but Antonio photoshopped his head over Tom's. This romance definitely looks like another love TKO.
Another love TKO.
And we've lost count of all of the red flags that have been since the start of their relationship. But nonetheless, we wish Tom, Gisele, and their family nothing but the best.
Jeezy shocked the hell out of everybody when he announced he was leaving his wife, Jenny Mai, in the dust. We were burning the midnight oil to get this video completed, and after working so hard to quickly deliver the tea to our besties, we left out a lot of important information. So this top spot in our compilation includes Jeezy and Jeannie's red flag video, as well as a follow-up video that dives deeper into the differences that reportedly pull them apart after 2 years of marriage. Are y'all ready to get into this tomfoolery? Is Jeezy thicker than a bowl of oatmeal? Let's get it, shawty. To kick things off, we have to take you back to November 2018, when Jeezy and newly divorced Jeannie met on the set of The Real. And then what? According to People magazine, they kept things low-key for a while. Jeannie said there was an instant magnetic attraction, and they were drawn to each other's passions to serve. Girl, what the hell that mean? Jeezy discussed their first date to People magazine by saying, "I couldn't look through her or around her. All I was seeing was her." Oh, ain't that sweet? In January 2019, the public got their first receipts that something was bubbling between them when a photo of the couple popped up on social media. During this time, Jeannie admitted on The Real that she and Jeezy had been hanging out. However, she told her co-hosts they weren't interested in labels, but he was still very special to her. Okay, we know what very special means. In August 2019, they announced they were official. During an episode of The Real, she gushed about her new boyfriend, describing him as passionate, deep, and a great leader. Things looked very promising for them, up until some of her past comments resurfaced. Ooh, child, pour me some tea. Let's pause for a second and rewind back to a 2014 episode of The Real. Jeannie told her co-hosts, "Love black guys. For me, dark meat on the side. White keeps me mean and lean. That's why I married white. That's what I like." Now say what now? Should've stayed your ass over there then. In case you're having a hard time following what Jeannie was trying to say, she was implying that black men were only good enough to be her side piece. And she was more attracted to white men, like her then husband, Freddie. The hell hell she talking about? The brother besties were in their feelings about not being Jeannie's preference, but Jeezy wasn't concerned about her past comments at all. While appearing on the Morning Hustle radio show, he said before they even became an item, she sat him down and explained that her words were taken out of context. Girl, stop lying. He also told a news publication that he wouldn't be with her if she were racist, and he knew she wasn't because, quote, she comes from the Bay. She knows E40 better than me. Now hold up now. Jeezy, at his big age, should be well aware that proximity to blackness doesn't immunize someone from displaying behavior that is rooted in racism. Boom, exactly. According to scholars, this type of thinking is steeped in complicated social factors, including a reluctance to have blunt conversations about race. According to author Robin DiAngelo, it's absolutely possible for someone like Jeannie to listen to E40 and develop bonds with black people while still feeling superior to black people and harboring racist stereotypes. So Jeannie's comments, in addition to Jeezy's response, led many to believe that they were two ignorant people who fell in love. And well, that's typically a recipe for disaster. Sure is. During an October 2019 episode of The Real, Jeannie explained how different her relationship with Jeezy was compared to the relationship she had with her ex-husband. She admitted she had low standards before she met the rapper. She also said Jeezy was way more supportive than her ex ever was. She cited an incident where Jeezy left his birthday party early just to drive her to the airport instead of letting her take an Uber. Get your ass in the Uber like everybody else. Now, you're probably wondering why we dinged this, so let us explain. Some people set the bar so low for their partner that something as low effort as an Uber ride will make them pull their panties to the side. Because Jeannie had low standards in her previous relationships, we aren't surprised that a simple act of kindness had her feeling butterflies in her tummy. But either way, they continued their relationship and even spent Thanksgiving 2019 together. By the time March 2020 rolled around, Jeezy popped the question at his Los Angeles home. However, months after their engagement, Jeannie revealed their wedding wasn't a top priority. Now, wait a minute now. Pump the brakes, child. What the hell is she talking about? Couples that get engaged with no plans to get married is something we've seen in several of our red flag videos. And although some of y'all like to tussle with us in the comments whenever we ding an engaged couple's reluctance to tie the knot, it has always and will always be a red flag over here at RRG. An engagement is a mutual promise to get married. So whenever a couple gets engaged and they come up with every excuse in the book as to why they aren't in a rush to head to the altar, there's usually some tomfoolery going on behind the scenes. Jeannie confirmed to ET that there was indeed something in the way of them becoming husband and wife. They got engaged at the start of the pandemic, and the world was in a state of uncertainty and a bit of panic. She said, "I feel like we got work to do. It's really important right now to spread an energy of positivity and uniting one another than it is to be planning a wedding." Girl, the rest of the world would be okay. Some people still had hope that things would work out. However, Jeannie wouldn't stop talking about their relationship, and every time she opened her mouth, the red flags kept busting us upside the head. Jeannie explained she looked forward to submitting to her future husband. She explained that she knew the word had a negative connotation, but it didn't worry her at all. She said she made too many decisions when it came to her career, so she was down for Jeezy to be the authority at home. Some might not see anything wrong with Jeannie's desire to allow Jeezy to take the lead, but for others, the idea of submission is an act of chauvinism that's skewed toward a patriarchal society that believes men are superior to women. This, of course, would contradict the fact that men and women are equal. She joined Dancing with the Stars in September 2020. She ended up dropping out of the competition in November 2020 after People magazine reported she was experiencing breathing problems. Jeezy rushed her to the emergency room, where she was diagnosed with a condition that blocks airflow to the lungs. She underwent surgery, and we were under the impression that Jeezy was there during her recovery. But we were wrong. A gossip site reported Jeezy was too busy getting ready for his versus battle against Gucci Mane to be Jeannie's bedside nurse. The site also claimed that things had stalled with the couple's wedding plans. An insider added, "They're engaged, so there's no need to rush things. Probably they'll get married in 2025 or something like that." 2025. With their wedding plans, or lack thereof, in limbo, Jeannie told Entertainment Tonight that they had a lot more time to really get to know each other, and that quality time together allowed them to realize that they were the right fit for each other. In February 2021, Jeezy revealed that his mom passed away. In an Instagram post, he wrote, "When I had nothing or no one, I had you, mama. You was hard on me. I thank you for that." Following her passing, he and Jeannie realized that life's too short and tomorrow is never promised. So they decided they wanted to get married expeditiously. In March 2021, they got married at their Atlanta home. While it was her second marriage, it was Jeezy's first time walking down the aisle. Jeezy spoke his vows from the heart, while Jeannie wrote out a full 3 pages of everything she wanted to say. After she was done reading her vows, she told People magazine she threw the papers in the pool. Now who gonna clean that up? Jeannie said, "I threw them into the pool because they've been sealed in his heart forever." Oh, okay. She was excited to be Jeannie Jenkins and told People magazine that she was ready and willing to make the right compromises and changes within herself to have a successful marriage. Despite previously saying she didn't want children due to her own childhood trauma, Jeannie announced she and Jeezy were expecting their first child together in September 2021. When the Shade Room posted her pregnancy news on their Instagram page, an online user commented by saying Jeannie's ex-husband Freddie was probably biting bricks and screaming about the news. And well, Freddie entered the chat. Welcome to the chat. And responded, "Yep, I upgraded from trash to treasure a long time ago. Best decision I ever made. Congratulations." Was Freddie in his feelings because Jeannie didn't want to have children with him? Or was he truly happy that he dodged a bullet by not starting a family with her? Probably the last one. Jeannie continued to spill TMI about their relationship, including how she liked to incorporate their unborn baby when she was making it boom, boom, clap in the bedroom. Ew. Their daughter Monaco was born in January 2022, making Jeezy a father of 4. During a May 2023 appearance on The Jennifer Hudson Show, Jeannie explained the importance of her daughter embracing her Vietnamese and her black side. Jeannie added,
"I only speak Vietnamese to her, and then Dad only speaks the South to her."
Bitch, what the hell is the South? Shawty tripping. You already know them folks over on Twitter lit her all the way up for implying that a Southern dialect is different from the English language. On The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne the God stated,
"People just don't like Jeannie Ma. They don't like the fact that Jeannie Ma and Jeezy are together.
Correct.
They don't like they're getting their Dr. Umar on, and they don't like that interracial relationship."
Or how about people were just tired of the racial microaggressions? Okay, see, that part. In celebration of their second wedding anniversary, Jeannie surprised Jeezy with a trip to Vietnam. And then on September 3rd, 2023, they celebrated Jeezy making the New York Times bestsellers list.
And God, thank you, because my daddy made the New York Times bestsellers list. So God, thank you for my daddy and his work to help people believe in themselves, just like he teaches me. Amen.
But the celebration didn't last long. Just 12 days later, the AJC reported Jeezy had filed for divorce after a little over 2 years of marriage. According to court documents, he's seeking joint custody of their daughter. He also wants the court to uphold their existing prenup. So what the hell went wrong? Well, as of this video, we're unsure. However, we dug up an interview Jeannie conducted back in October 2021 where she revealed some interesting information. Let me sit down for this. While discussing her marriage, Jeannie said she came from a long line of people with hot tempers, from her mom to her grandma to her grandfather and her aunts. She stated she didn't really notice she had a bad temper at first because no one ever called her out on it, and she was surrounded by a bunch of yes people. In her first marriage, she didn't have enough respect for her partner to even realize that her anger was an issue. That's why he left your ass. But with Jeezy, he would tell her to pipe down, whenever she flew off the handle. And sometimes her hurtful words would cause him to get triggered, and he would clap back at her. I bet he would.
He never told me to fix my temper. I just saw it and I thought, unless I want to stay in this place where I lose this person I love and I stay in my comfort zone of doing what I want to do and function the way I have for the last 40 years when nobody else had to stop me.
Which obviously has done quite well for you.
Right, I could have. But this was something greater that I wanted. And also a great challenge to myself to say, what if, now that I know it exists and the dragon's there, what if I got rid of that?
Too late for that shit.
Our partners are the ones who are on the front lines of our uncontrolled anger. So perhaps Jeannie's behavior became too much for Jeezy to handle. And after crossing the line one too many times, it's too late to apologize. It's too late. In the end, we might never know the real reason he decided to walk away, but we can't say we're surprised by these recent developments. The red flags were busting us upside the head so hard we almost got a concussion. Someone please call 911. In order to explore this topic, we have to give you a brief rundown of their respective childhoods. Jay Jenkins, better known as Jeezy, was born on September 28, 1977 in Columbia, South Carolina. He told XXL magazine he doesn't remember much about his early years. He recalls moving around a lot since his father was in the Marines, and then they moved to Hawkinsville, Georgia. Later on, his dad was stationed in Okinawa, Japan. In his memoir, which we've linked in the description box, Jeezy wrote that he felt completely out of place. He wanted to do hood rat things with his friends, so he always sought out other kids who were into the kinds of things he liked to do, which included stealing money and liquor, getting into fights, and trying to talk to girls. Badass. Although he embraced the culture and fell in love with the cuisine, he had sticky fingers and would steal whatever he could get his hands on. Eventually, after getting caught stealing from one of the stores on the military base, his dad sent Jeezy, his mom, and his sister back to the States.
He just f***ed up for everybody, didn't he?
He remembers his parents eventually splitting up, and from that point forward, he describes the rest of his childhood as being empty. He looked up to his older cousins who were making serious money selling substances in the streets of Atlanta, and Jeezy wanted a piece of the pie. In his documentary called A Hustler's Ambition, he revealed he started selling substances sometime around the age of 11. In the lyrics of his songs, he discusses selling substances to his mom and his uncles, which is something he would later regret. His mom also battled alcoholism and would take her anger out on Jeezy for her failed relationship with his father. She would call him all kinds of terrible names, and sadly, it didn't faze him because he was used to that kind of treatment. In his memoir, he wrote that one of his aunts called him Jerry's kids. In case you're unaware, this is a derogatory term used to reference the children who received support from the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Jeezy became the breadwinner as a young teen, and their dynamics changed.
I bet they did.
He told ESPN he started skipping school and would talk back to her since he was the one who paid for the $6,500 trailer they were living in. After an intense altercation, she pulled out a weapon and told him to get out. He briefly lived with his dad up until his dad kicked him out. Then he stayed with his aunt and his grandmother. He started selling substances from his auntie and his grandmother's home and eventually dropped out of school. After getting caught on a possession charge, he spent 9 months at a Savannah, Georgia boot camp. While there, he earned his GED, and he also found out he was expecting his first child, a son who was born in 1996. According to our research, he welcomed his second son with another woman sometime around 1997.
He didn't waste no time.
After leaving boot camp, he decided it was time to explore a different way to make money. He started rapping under the name Lil J before changing his name to Young Jeezy. In 2004, he signed with Bad Boy Records and released one album with the group Boys in the Hood. He eventually became a solo artist and signed to Def Jam. And well, the rest is history. In 2015, he announced he was the father of a baby girl, making him a father of 3. The following year, he proposed to his daughter's mother, but their relationship didn't last. Although he's far removed from his previous lifestyle, he's been caught up in some drama ever since he made it big, which includes public beefs with other artists. And then in 2012, his eldest child's mother accused him of putting his hands on their son. Insiders close to the situation told TMZ the child's mother was brainwashing their son against Jeezy to squeeze more money out of him.
Now, I ain't saying she a gold digger.
On the flip side, he serves as a mentor for young artists, and he has a portfolio full of expensive real estate investments.
He owns a few orphanages in Mexico, and he's the founder of Street Dreams Foundation, a nonprofit that serves to motivate at-risk youth. He's also a silent partner to several Atlanta eateries and even developed his own line of cognac. So by the time he met Jeannie Mai in November 2018 when he appeared as a guest on The Real, he had dropped the word young from his rap moniker and had become known as a businessman who had completely turned his life around for the better. As for Jeannie, she was born on January 4th, 1979 in San Jose, California, as one of 3 children. Beginning at the age of 9 and for several years, she was violated by a 16-year-old male family member. She told People magazine she tried to tell her mom, who's referred to as Mama Mai, what was going on when she was about 13. But Jeannie said Mama Mai was confused and couldn't understand what she was trying to tell her. As the violations became more aggressive, Jeannie once again tried to open up to her mom a few years later, but her mom didn't believe her. After not getting the response she expected from Mama Mai, Jeannie left home at the age of 16 and didn't talk to her mom for the next 8 years. It wasn't until they finally reconnected that Jeannie was able to convince her mom of what really happened. Mama Mai told People magazine, "I really listened to her every single detail. I was really shocked. It was a real thing. All I can say is, I'm really sorry." Yeah, you're sorry, all right. Jeannie and Mama Mai spent the next years rebuilding their relationship. Although they are still working through the trauma and dealing with family struggles, they are closer than ever. Jeannie married Freddie Hartize in 2007, and they split up in 2017 after 10 years of marriage. Jeannie later revealed that her reluctance to have children due to her own childhood trauma played a major role in her divorce. Jeannie was stuck paying him alimony as Freddie moved on and started a family with his new wife, Lindsay Toole. During an episode of The Real, Jeannie said that having to pay him alimony taught her a valuable lesson to look out for herself. Her words were shared on Instagram, which prompted Lindsay to take to the social media platform and say, "Your complete focus on yourself is why you're divorced. Yourself being the most important thing to you in the entire world is why you keep making up lies for more attention. Ain't nobody talking about you because we don't care. Stop trying to tear someone down who has done absolutely nothing to you." I bet you're spending that damn alimony check though. Mama Mai moved in with Jeannie following her divorce. Jeannie told Entertainment Tonight that it was really awkward trying to date while having her mother in the same house as her because Mama Mai was so nosy. Ooh, the ghetto. So why didn't she tell Mama Mai to get to steppin'? Well, according to Cultural Atlas website, family is the most important aspect of life in Vietnam, and it isn't uncommon for 3 generations to live under the same roof. 3? Jeezy was surely aware of this tradition prior to getting serious with Jeannie, right? Sure don't seem like it. On her YouTube channel, Jeannie confirmed they spent a considerable amount of time learning about each other's culture and childhood. On one of their first dates, he took her around his hometown of Hawkinsville, where she got to meet some of his family members and friends. And to celebrate their first Christmas together in December 2019, they planned a trip to Vietnam so he could get a first-hand experience of her culture. Unfortunately, the COVID cases were already on the rise in Asian countries by that point, so they decided to cancel their vacation. Jeezy planned to propose to her in Vietnam, but instead he waited until March 2020 and proposed to her at home, where he recreated her country as best he could right there inside of their home. Aww. In February 2021, he revealed that his mom passed away. Following her passing, he and Jeannie realized that life's too short and tomorrow is never promised. So they decided to get married expeditiously. Now, some may say they got married for all the wrong reasons, but either way, they tied the knot in March 2021, and Jeannie gave birth to their daughter, Monaco, in January 2022. In other words, they didn't get much time to enjoy life as newlyweds before adding a new member to their family. And since it was the first grandchild in Jeannie's immediate family, her family members were extremely excited about the new arrival. We took a look at a few of Jeannie's YouTube videos following Monaco's birth and discovered a recurring theme. Jeezy was nowhere in sight, child. Now where the hell was he at? In May 2022, Jeannie told People magazine that while motherhood was a joyous experience, she was managing a severe case of postpartum anxiety. She also said that during the first month of her daughter's life, she was at home with Monaco every single day.
all by herself. Due to COVID, she didn't want a lot of people around her daughter. And apparently, Jeezy was gone doing whatever the hell he was doing. Damn shame. By June 2022, Jeannie, Monaco, and Jeannie's brother Dennis were in Boston for a project Jeannie was working on. In a YouTube video, Jeannie said they had been in the city for the past month while Jeezy was on a couple of tours and traveling.
The past month? Girl.
She mentioned that Jeezy checked in with Monaco every day, but a FaceTime check-in can't replace real-life interactions. Our nosy selves were able to confirm that Jeezy was indeed on tour, but as long as he's been in the game and with all the business ventures he likes to brag about, surely he could have taken a little time off to be with his wife and his new daughter, right?
Trifling as hell.
In another YouTube video posted in November 2022, Jeannie can be seen traveling to Augusta, Georgia to visit Jeezy's father and his wife without Jeezy.
I know you lying.
Jeannie brought the baby, her brother Dennis, and 2 additional people from her team on the trip. In the video, adorable little Monaco can be seen bonding with her grandparents and extended family members, and Jeannie looks right at home and very comfortable with her in-laws. But still, Jeezy couldn't take the weekend off to accompany her on the trip.
You ain't rapping all day.
When Jeezy did spend time at home, things were a bit chilly, according to Jeannie. In a YouTube video, she revealed that if she didn't engage with Jeezy in a certain way, he would turn cold as ice. She added,
He will act like you don't exist.
sensitive ass.
You have a man with sensitivity. A man like Jeezy.
Was the honeymoon over as quickly as it started? And was Jeezy already checked out? Apparently so. In May 2023, they were finally able to take the trip to Vietnam that they had planned to take back in December 2019. But it didn't appear that Jeezy was even interested in going by that point. Jeannie said in a YouTube video that she had to force him to take 3 weeks off from work so they could go on vacation. In the footage, Jeezy barely speaks 3 words, and 2 of them were in Vietnamese.
Come on, G. Pepsi, come on.
Come on.
Jeannie also had Jeezy the snowman out there looking crazy on the back of someone's Vespa. Less than a month after returning from their trip, Jeezy signed the divorce paperwork and stated they were currently separated. He also stated the marriage was irretrievably broken, with no hope for reconciliation. For whatever reason, he held on to the paperwork and didn't file it at first, but it was clear he had already made his decision. Now, we ain't ones to gossip, but you know that memoir Jeezy released in August 2023, the one that's now a New York Times bestseller? It's a great book, and we've linked it in the description box if you want to check it out. But anyway, the book is about how he turned his life around despite having the odds stacked against him. He started writing portions of the book during the time they were together, and you would think he would include at least a paragraph or 2 about his marriage and his new baby, right? Yeah, no.
What?
There's not one mention of Jeannie's name in the entire book. Even in the acknowledgments, which are written in the 3rd person, Jeannie still doesn't get a shout out.
Damn.
The book states, Jeezy would like to thank the streets, God, his family, his day ones, and every DJ who ever played his records.
This ninja.
Jeezy finally filed the divorce paperwork on September 14th, 2023. As the internet blew up and speculated as to what the hell happened between them, social media users went looking for clues.
Inspector Gadget ass.
In an Instagram photo posted a day before he filed for divorce, Jeezy wrote in his caption, "Too focused on who I'm becoming to focus on who's not coming with me." Then there were rumors that Jeannie was having an affair with TV personality Mario Lopez.
He is fine though.
Sources close to Jeannie called that rumor a lie. So what really went down? Well, a source told Entertainment Tonight that they weren't on the same page when it came to certain family values and expectations. In addition to that, they had different views, and each felt like their needs weren't being completely met. Now, obviously, we're unaware of the exact differences that caused their split. However, Jeannie has spilled some details about their family life that point to some of the struggles they may have faced.
During an episode of The Real, Jeannie stated that before she gave birth, Mama Mai flew into town unexpectedly. Jeannie wasn't there, so Jeezy picked Mama Mai up from the airport. Jeannie said Jeezy called her and asked how long Mama Mai would be staying with them since she arrived with 5 suitcases, 4 hat boxes, 3 wigs, and a bunch of shoes that she reportedly shoved inside Jeezy's closet. Oh no, the hell she didn't. Hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no. Jeannie told him she didn't know how long Mama Mai was staying, and in Asian culture, you just assume family members will stay as long as they want. She should have talked to some black folks before marrying that black man. We would have told her that shit wasn't gonna work. Jeannie noted that it wasn't Jeezy's style to have someone in the house when he was trying to relax. So she had to have a conversation with her mom, and she made sure Jeezy spoke to Mama Mai as the man of the house. Jeannie was laughing as she told the story, but we're sure Jeezy didn't crack a smile as it all went down. It's a big adjustment to go from living a private and secluded life to having unexpected visitors invading your personal space. Although they made an effort to learn about each other's culture, it's different when you're actually in the thick of cultural differences and dealing with meddling in-laws. And then, before they got married, Jeannie made it clear that she was ready to be a submissive wife. But after tying the knot, perhaps she didn't keep her end of the bargain. They never do. In an October 2021 chat with YouTuber Shan Booty, Jeannie stated that, like most of the people in her family, she had a really bad temper and no one ever checked her for her anger issues. But with Jeezy, she made a conscious decision to change since her temper and hurtful words would trigger Jeezy and he would clap back at her. Learned your lesson quick, didn't you?
He never told me to fix my temper. I just saw it and I thought, unless I want to stay in this place where I lose this person I love and I stay in my comfort zone of doing what I want to do and function the way I have for the last 40 years when nobody else had to stop me.
Which obviously has done quite well for you.
Right, I could have. But this was something greater that I wanted.
Remember we mentioned early on in the video that Jeezy's mom would lash out at him and would take her anger out on him about her failed relationship with his father. And remember how we stated she would call him horrible names, but it didn't bother him because he was used to people talking down to him, including other family members? Despite Jeezy claiming he was unaffected, the subconscious mind holds on to those memories and interactions, and they can play out in various ways in later years. Since a child's brain is still developing at the time the verbal abuse takes place, it causes the brain to adapt to that type of treatment. Those who are born in safe and attentive environments have brains that develop normally, while structural changes in the gray matter of the brain can be seen in those who've dealt with verbal abuse. As far as the long-term impact, PsychologyToday.com reveals that verbal abuse that occurs during childhood can cause an adult to be very critical of themselves and overly sensitive. This appears to be something Jeezy has dealt with as well, thanks to Jeannie telling the world he would turn cold as ice if she didn't engage with him in a certain way. Thankfully, Jeezy has taken the time to tackle this subconscious programming that was installed during his childhood. During an October 2022 appearance on Drink Champs, he stated he was learning how to only seek validation within himself, and he had learned the art of practicing self-love. Those who have followed Jeezy's career know that he's notoriously private. Aside from the coded messages in his lyrics and the revelations in his latest memoir, he tends to keep his private life away from the public eye. His withdrawn nature is in direct contrast to Jeannie's tendency to overshare almost every aspect of their lives. She was constantly filming YouTube videos, providing updates about Monaco's development, and hashing out her family issues in front of cameras. In addition to that, they were frequently apart. Perhaps Jeannie expected him to be more hands-on, while Jeezy was more content with being out in them streets and performing for his fans. Despite these issues, some people think their marriage can be saved, and Jeannie isn't planning on giving up without a fight. A source told Page 6 she was devastated that Jeezy ended things, and she loved him deeply and wanted to work things out. The insider added that Jeannie was holding out hope that he would be willing to sit down and work things out. Although her parents are divorced, most Vietnamese consider divorce an admission of failure and shame, so they tend to stay with their partners till death do them part. This also correlates to the low divorce rates among Vietnamese couples. This might explain why Jeannie is reportedly trying to work things out. Did Jeezy jump the gun by filing for divorce only 2 years after tying the knot? Some think so, but perhaps their differences were too extreme for them to find some common ground. Portia Williams and Simon Guobadia. Child, when Portia Williams snatched Simon Guobadia from her Real Housewives of Atlanta co-star, we knew this messiness deserved a red flag video. This video, which was posted in September 2023, has over 300,000 views on YouTube. And it wouldn't have been possible without the love and support of our besties. Mwah. Love y'all. It's time to bust open another bag of snacks and let's get into this tea. I'm ready, girl. I'm ready, girl. To get things started, we need to go back to 2018 when Portia found out she was expecting a baby. 2 months later, she got engaged to her child's father, Dennis McKinley. Portia later found out Dennis cheated on her several times. They welcomed their daughter Pilar in March 2019. And after Dennis admitted to cheating on her while she was pregnant, Portia found it difficult to forgive him for slanging his dang-a-lang all over Georgia. Now that's just nasty as hell. So they called off their engagement. In September 2020, blogger Love B. Scott announced that Fallon was joining the cast of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. In Love B. Scott's exclusive Tea report, he stated that Fallon was an Atlanta socialite who was married to her super wealthy husband, Simon. He also identified Fallon as being good friends with Portia Williams and Shamia Morton. The mother of three was photographed out and about with some of the cast members prior to appearing on the 13th season of the Bravo reality series, which premiered in December 2020. In an interview with Adam Newell, Fallon stated Simon convinced her to join the cast because he thought it would be good for her spiritual well-being. Say what now? The Housewives franchise isn't exactly known for being a place where people go to reaffirm their spirituality. And according to Kenya Moore, their castmate Marlo Hampton is the only one bringing the holiness on set.
There are episodes where she has holes in her shoes.
So what the hell did Simon mean when he told Fallon that being on the show would be good for her spiritual well-being? Well, Fallon responded, "I think what he was trying to tell me was that it was more of a test, and it tested me for sure." We all remember the infamous scene of Portia visiting Fallon's house for a pool party, right? As the ladies sashay into the backyard, they're introduced to Simon, where Portia proceeds to give him a fist bump. Portia later revealed during an episode of Ultimate Girls Trip that she already knew Simon before he appeared on the show. However, the rumors that have swirled around about Simon and Dennis being friends are false, according to what a source later told TMZ. So anyway, at the time, Portia and Simon's interaction seemed innocent enough. There wasn't any kind of flirting going on. And besides, Portia was too distracted by her situation with Dennis and her newfound desire to be Portia Luther King Jr. A social activist amid the Black Lives Matter movement. Portia and the ladies had a little pool fight while Simon watched in the distance. Although Portia's one-piece bathing suit was quite modest, that thing was still thangin'. Portia also clearly took notice of the multi-million-dollar home Fallon and Simon were living in, as well as Simon's admission that Fallon had him well trained. Fallon later stated that she and Portia hung out a few times when cameras weren't rolling, and Portia visited the home she and Simon shared on more than one occasion. 1 month after season 13 premiered, 56-year-old Simon and 31-year-old Fallon quietly separated, and he filed for divorce on January 15, 2021. According to People magazine, in his divorce docs, Simon stated the marriage was irretrievably broken and he desired an amicable settlement. Less than a week later, Simon dismissed his divorce complaint. On Valentine's Day, he posted a photo of himself and Fallon, along with a statement about fighting for love. In his caption, he added that it took him a lifetime to learn how to love someone unconditionally. He added, "It is never too late to learn because an empty heart is even more of a greater burden." 5 days later, he filed for divorce again after a year and a half of marriage. He also requested that their prenup be enforced to resolve all issues regarding the marriage. They kept their divorce a secret, but nosy online folks peep everything. Sure do. When people noticed Fallon and Simon unfollowed each other on social media, Fallon told the Jasmine brand that everything was just fine between them.
That rumor came from a miserable person.
Girl, stop lying. Finally, on April 22, 2021, they publicly announced their divorce on Instagram in separate posts.
Portia told Watch What Happens Live that she heard some talk around town about Fallon potentially getting knocked up by another man. So after seeing Simon's post about the divorce, she decided to slide into Simon's DMs and told him, "Hey, are you okay? I'm praying for you and your family." Now hold up now. Fallon was introduced to the show as Portia's friend, but instead of Portia reaching out to Fallon to make sure she was okay, she reached out to Simon to check up on him. She knew what the hell she was doing. Trifling ass. Simon was ready to risk it all and take Portia to Pound Town. He replied to her right away and told her he wanted to see her when he was back in Atlanta. Portia told him before they saw each other, she needed him to email her the divorce paperwork just to confirm that things were really over between him and Fallon. Portia saw them papers and it was on and popping. They started dating expeditiously. After 2 weeks, she told Dennis about her new relationship because they had a rule that they needed to meet any new partners that would be around their daughter. And then on May 10th, 2021, just 18 days after Simon and Fallon publicly announced their divorce, Portia revealed to the world that Simon was her new boo thing. In an Instagram post that included a photo of the new couple, Portia wrote that their relationship started a month ago and they were crazy in love. Now wait a minute now. Pump the brakes, child. Portia, girl, we were born at night, but not last night. So we crunched some numbers and surprise, surprise, the math ain't mathin'. Simon and Fallon announced their divorce on April 22nd, 2021. Portia told Watch What Happens Live that she slid into his DMs on that exact same day. But then, in her announcement about their relationship, which she posted on May 10th, 2021, she stated they had been dating for a month. If there are only 18 days between Simon's divorce announcement and Portia's post about their new relationship, that means they were definitely dating before his divorce announcement. So, is somebody lying? Or did Portia just get her timeline mixed up? Either way, in her caption, she also stated that Simon filed for divorce in January, which is true, but she neglected to mention that he and Fallon reconciled, and the divorce was dismissed up until he filed again in February. She also said Fallon wasn't her friend, and the divorce was already settled, and they were ready to move on in a positive direction. But yeah, that wasn't exactly the case. Simon and Portia later announced they thought his divorce was nearly finalized at the time Portia posted that caption full of inaccuracies. And no one was able to call her out on the BS because she turned the comments off. Scary. Things got even more strange when Simon announced that not only were they dating, but he and Portia were engaged. In response to the quickie engagement, Portia told Watch What Happens Live,
God just dropped that man in my lap. What else supposed to do?
Portia said 2 weeks after telling Dennis that she and Simon were an item, Simon proposed. But not only were they engaged after a month of dating, but Simon was still legally married to Fallon. And get this, according to the court, Fallon was still legally allowed to live in Simon's home at the time Portia made her announcement. I know you lying. During an Instagram live session captured by the Neighborhood Talk, Marlo shaded Portia and her new relationship.
I don't think it's real. You know, y'all know I done hung with Portia. Portia like, fine. I don't think that shit ain't real. But guess what? Good storyline. I just don't believe her coming from the household she was raised in, a Christian family, her grandfather, that she would literally go and do something like that. Because, baby, if I ever brought about my man and she dated my man, that's like me dating Dennis.
And Eva Marcel blasted Portia for violating girl code. I know that's right. All that aside, was Portia making a terrible mistake? Some people thought so. She was about to be Simon's 4th wife and stepmommy to his 5 children from previous relationships. Some may argue that it took him 4 tries before he found the right one, but the experts disagree. According to SciComm.net, certain personality types are associated with a higher divorce rate. There are 4 brain systems that are linked with personality traits: the dopamine, serotonin, testosterone, and estrogen systems. People who are very expressive of their dopamine system of the brain are more risk-taking. novelty-seeking, curious, creative, spontaneous, energetic, and mentally flexible. Dr. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist, told the website, "I would predict that this kind of person would be more likely to be restless in a long relationship." This might apply to Simon and explain his lack of hesitation to jump into a new marriage before his old one ended, but he would probably disagree with us. In an Instagram post, he wrote that he asked Portia to marry him because they checked all of each other's boxes and then some. But not only was Portia going to be wife number 4, Simon later admitted he cheated in his past relationships. When she was asked on Watch What Happens Live if his past infidelities bothered her, Portia responded,
I've cheated before too.
Okay.
Child, stop deflecting. Just weeks after going public with their relationship, a woman named Jessica Harris told Baller Alert that she met Simon at an Atlanta nightclub on March 30th, which means he was still legally married to Fallon at the time. They went on a date, and Jessica later told Fallon that she and Simon were knocking boots. Jessica said she last had contact with Simon on May 9th after she noticed on social media that he was at Portia's house. Simon clapped back by reposting a photo of Jessica in his Ferrari and offered up to $50,000 to anyone who could show credible proof that he cheated on Fallon anytime between the date they got married and the date of his first divorce filing. He then threw in an extra $25,000 for any receipt that proved he dated anyone at the same time he was dating Portia. Unfortunately for anyone with any inside information, Simon turned the comments off on his post. Fallon was officially required to move out of Simon's house by the end of May. Bye, Ashy. And in June, Simon celebrated Portia's 40th birthday with a sweet Instagram post. He wrote that the moon and sun must have been in alignment when they first met. He added, "My love for you, Portia, has not diminished one bit. In fact, it has grown exponentially."
What? Are you serious?
In July, his divorce was finalized. Both Simon and Fallon waived their rights to alimony, but Simon agreed to pay her a portion of the profits they made from selling a property they jointly owned, totaling a little over $153,000. Simon later sold their Buckhead marital home for $4.5 million. In a sit-down interview, Fallon spilled some major tea about Portia. Fallon claimed that during the time they were married, Simon used to talk about Portia like a dog. According to Fallon, Simon told her that Portia allegedly slept with one of his cousins for a Rolls Royce. The tea about Portia's sugar daddy buying her the vehicle was confirmed by the blogs back in 2014. But of course, at the time, no one knew or cared who Simon was, or that the sugar daddy was his family member. Simon and Fallon hurled cheating accusations back and forth, and a month after the divorce was finalized, Fallon confirmed she was indeed pregnant with baby number 4 by a 4th man named Jalen Banks, the same man Simon accused her of cheating on him with. Fallon and Jalen welcomed their daughter Emma in November 2021 before eventually going their separate ways. Andy Cohen was foaming at the mouth about Portia's new storyline, and we're sure viewers couldn't wait for the upcoming season of Housewives to watch her get dragged by her castmates. But instead of throwing herself into the lion's den, Portia decided to leave the show. She told People magazine she wasn't afraid of her castmates confronting her because she had gone through worse things on camera. Instead, she made the decision to leave the show long before she got engaged to Simon. She added, "I was turning 40, I was hitting my 10-year mark on the show, and I really just had to reassess where I was and what I wanted totally out of my life. So that's where that decision came from." Okay, girl. She did make an appearance on Ultimate Girls Trip, though. Portia stated she was open to doing the show because she got to be around other housewives from different franchises, and there wasn't any baggage. However, Real Housewives of Potomac star Candace Dillard Bassett did the honors of confronting Portia about what the streets were saying about her new relationship. Get it, girl. After Portia stuttered her way through the timeline of her new relationship, most of the other ladies were on her side.
I'm all about taking a man.
I'm not proud of it, but I've taken a man too.
That's a good ring. I'd steal that man too.
Ahead of their wedding, Portia bought Simon's wedding band during a trip to Las Vegas. She was extremely excited to be his wife, but fans were telling her she needed to
Run, Forrest, run! During an episode of her spin-off series called Portia's Family Matters, Simon revealed his family lineage of polygamy and past cheating incidents. He shared that sticking to one woman may be a challenge for him, as his grandfather had 25 wives. Yep, we said 25 wives. And his daddy had 2 wives. The Nigerian native stated, "Where I come from, there's nothing abnormal about having different women." Okay, but you're living in America. Ow! We don't do that over here. Portia made it clear to him that she didn't approve of the idea, and Simon later took to his Instagram to say he was a one-woman man. He added that his family history of polygamy had no relevance to his life. They got married in November 2022 in a traditional Nigerian ceremony, followed by an American ceremony. As of this video, Portia is ready to make Simon a father of 6. She told People magazine that they were praying for a baby and would leave it in God's hands. While Portia hasn't had the most success when it comes to romantic partners, she and Simon are still going strong and appear to be more in love than ever. Despite how their relationship started and their quickie engagement, we're just gonna sit here, mind our business, eat our snacks, and continue to duck these red flags so they don't bust us upside the head. Okay. Steve and Marjorie Harvey. This red flag video included one of the most hilarious intros we've ever recorded. If you don't remember it, it went a little something like this. A serial cheater meets an alleged trap queen who has a love for dope boys. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. This September 1st, 2023 video has so many red flags, we almost got a concussion. So we knew we had to include it on this list. Are y'all ready for this mess? As long as the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, we have to give you all the scandalous background information. Prior to meeting Steve, 18-year-old Marjorie was in a relationship with a married, big-time substance dealer named Jim Townsend. Jim told Unwind with Tasha K that he made it clear to Marjorie that he didn't want any more children because he already had 3. Jim said Marjorie told him she was on birth control. And, well, he fell for the okie doke. They went on to have 2 children, and while she was pregnant with baby number 2, Jim was being investigated by the feds for running a smuggling ring and pushing weight across the U.S. He told Radar Online that after the authorities told him they had substantial evidence against his brother and Marjorie, he copped a plea so Marjorie and his brother wouldn't get indicted. Jim was sentenced to life in prison, and Marjorie repaid him by leaving him in the dust less than 5 years into his sentence. Dang, dog. Now, we've shared portions of this story numerous times on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and our TikTok page. Many people in the comments sections don't fault Marjorie for moving on from someone who was going to spend the rest of his life behind bars. However, others agree that Marjorie's actions show that she isn't loyal to anyone but herself. And when the going gets tough, she's up out that thing. In addition to that, if Jim hadn't committed the selfless act of taking the fall for her, her behind would have been locked up in the pen right beside him. Sure would have. But either way, Marjorie made her decision and Jim had to deal with it. Poor Jim. Meanwhile, Steve married a woman named Marcia in 1981, and they welcomed 3 children. One day, Marjorie attended one of Steve's Memphis stand-up shows. Steve and Marjorie typically gloss over the date that they initially met. However, several years ago, they told Essence magazine that they first met in 1990, which means Steve was still married to Marcia. We've linked that interview in the description box. Marjorie arrived late to the show, and as she walked to her seat, Steve was in awe and couldn't even breathe, honey. He stopped the show and stared her down. Then he finally said,
"I don't know who this is, but I'm gonna marry her."
I know you lying. Yeah. Steve, who was a married man at the time, was trying to spit game. Now, he and Marcia were experiencing marital issues at the time. In fact, Steve was homeless and living out of the back of his Ford Tempo. Now, what the hell is a Ford Tempo? I ain't never seen one. He told People magazine, "I realized you're on your own. You have nothing or no one." Come again now. But didn't he have a wife and 3 children waiting for him at home? Now, some of you might argue that a married man trying to holler at a little tenderoni isn't considered cheating. However, Steve moved forward with acting on his lustful urges and started clapping Marjorie's cheeks. Marjorie said she knew Steve was the one right away. Girl, but what about his wife? You know what? Never mind. During an interview with Essence, Steve completely skipped over the fact that he was married when they first met. Instead, he stated he couldn't commit to Marjorie because he was living out of his car and wasn't where he wanted to be financially. He said, "Before a man can be of use to a woman, he's got to know who he is, what he does, and how much he's going to make." Marjorie didn't care. Apparently, she was ready for them to drive that Ford Tempo right into the sunset. However, after dating for a bit, Steve suddenly ghosted her. Marjorie picked up the pieces and moved on with another substance dealer named Donnell Woods. They welcomed their daughter Lori in January 1997. And before y'all start with all the rumors, Donnell and Jim aren't cousins, nor are they related. So anyway, Marjorie and Donnell got married a few years after Lori was born. And this was around the same time the FBI started investigating Donnell and his family's substance operation. Donnell was eventually sentenced to 37 months behind bars. And you already know Marjorie wasn't trying to wait that long. According to Radar Online, Marjorie managed to finesse her way back into Steve's inner circle by dating his bodyguard, William Big Boom Freeman. On his now defunct website, Big Boom described himself as a former pimp who preyed on women to gain a sense of power and self. We're unsure how long that situation between him and Marjorie lasted. Now, back to Steve. He and his first wife, Marcia, got divorced in 1994, and he moved on with a woman named Mary Shackelford, whom he married in 1996. Steve told People magazine he regretted tying the knot right away. He said, "I got married for the wrong reasons. I was tired of being alone. I have to own that. It was me, not her, but it was bad for a long time." They welcomed a son in 1997, but their marriage fell apart in 2005, the exact same year he reconnected with Marjorie. Now say what now? Mary stated in a YouTube video that Steve was a serial cheater, pumpkin eater. And get this, she also claimed Marjorie was just one of Steve's many side chicks. Marjorie called Mary's allegations malicious and baseless. So anyway, Steve told People magazine he was down and out after things ended, and Big Boom told him, "Look, the only time I've ever seen you happy was when you were with that woman Marjorie. Now before you go and do something stupid and marry another woman, I'm calling her." Now hold up now. It's highly unlikely that Steve kept Marjorie's number from when they dated back in the 90s. However, Steve specifically said that Big Boom offered to call Marjorie, which means Big Boom was in possession of her number, and it's possible Big Boom stayed in contact with her following their alleged relationship. Because Big Boom had a reputation for being an old Mac from way back, one of the original players from the Himalayas, he probably had no qualms about passing Marjorie back to Steve. So 15 years after ghosting her, Steve dialed them digits. By that point, Steve's career was on the rise. He was no longer homeless and felt comfortable being the man that Marjorie deserved. Once he opened up to her and explained why he ghosted her back in the day, Marjorie started to think about what could have been between them if he had been more honest. She told People magazine, "I told him I owned my house. Honey, you wouldn't have been homeless. We could have saved so much time." During an appearance on Club Shay Shay, Steve said after he and Marjorie started dating again, all 7 of their children went bowling. When the children returned home, the girls decided they didn't want Steve and Marjorie to get married. According to Steve, the children thought their parents needed more time together before they tied the knot. Now, grown folk are gonna do what they wanna do, but maybe their children could see the red flags and were trying to save their parents from heartache.
Steve and Marjorie got married in 2007, and years later, during an episode of his talk show, Steve admitted,
when I married Marjorie, I had something, but we didn't do a prenup because I knew this is the chick I'm going to the tape with.
Oh, wow. Got him. Most people don't enter a marriage with the expectation that it will end in divorce. But just like you don't expect to be hospitalized, you still have health insurance, right? Yeah. A prenup is a form of marriage insurance, and it's a good idea to get one if you have any kind of assets. Many celebrities have been open about obtaining prenups before tying the knot. Beyoncé told a German magazine that she and Jay-Z have what she called a marriage contract, and she encouraged any woman to obtain one as well. Gabrielle Union insisted that she and Dwayne Wade sign a prenup, and Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani have one as well. But baby, Steve, with his silly self, is setting himself up to be taken to the cleaners since he didn't take the appropriate steps to protect himself ahead of time. But, you know, as long as they stay together, then his fortune will be safe. For now. Okay, back to the story. Jim told Radar Online that Marjorie cut off all communication with him a few days after she married Steve. What was she trying to hide? Others argue that Jim was still the father of her children, and what harm could he really cause to her new marriage while he was locked up? Jim served close to 27 years in prison before President Barack Obama commuted his sentence in January 2017. He has since written a book about his life, including his time with Marjorie. We'll drop a link to the book in our description box. Perhaps Marjorie was quick to cut off contact because she wanted to swiftly integrate their families by having Steve adopt her children. Now, we ain't ones to gossip, but the whole adoption situation is strange as hell. The children she shares with Jim, her daughter Morgan and son Jason, were about 20 and 16 years old at the time Marjorie and Steve tied the knot, and her daughter Lori, whom she conceived with her ex-husband Donnell, was about 10. How did her children go from disapproving of the relationship to taking on Steve's last name? Now, we can give Lori a pass since she was young, but what 16 and 20-year-olds are going to ditch their last name in favor of the last name of the new man in their mom's life? Step-parent adoption is a wonderful way to legally and emotionally affirm a new parent's permanent relationship with a child. However, some wonder if her children would have gone through with it if Steve wasn't a super wealthy celebrity. Was the intention to blend their family, or did they plan on using the name for clout? Okay, let's freeze for a second. And let's do a little recap. Marjorie got promoted from Steve's alleged mistress to his wife. They didn't sign a prenup, and Steve adopted her grown-ass kids. Marjorie found a sucker and licked it. Just kidding. Kind of. A source close to the couple told Radar Online that Marjorie's past is the reason Steve is heavily protected. The source added, Steve may have a shady past, but it's nothing like the major league guys Marjorie was married to. No wonder he keeps armed guards at his house in Atlanta. Through the years, Marjorie has been accused of blowing through all of Steve's hard-earned money. Her Instagram account is a flashy display of some of her expensive purchases, including a $39,000 Louis Vuitton airplane bag, exotic purses that cost 5 to 6 figures each, $1,000 dresses, and millions of dollars worth of jewelry. Aside from buying every little thing her heart desires, she's also trying to secure her family's future. Steve admitted that Marjorie told him they needed to put money away for their grandchildren. Now hold up now.
I made a way for their ass, now I gotta make a way for their kids too? This is
So not only did Steve adopt her children and provide for their grown asses, but Marjorie expected him to take care of her children's children as well? Child, not Uncle Steve out here getting finessed. But get this, Steve finally put his foot down.
I told my kids, I said, listen, man, I'm telling you right now, me and your mama is spending 85% of all the money I'm making. The grandkids gonna have a little college account. I'll give them a little bit of money when they turn 25. That's the plan. After that, man, gotta get your ass out here and hustle.
I know that's right.
Sadly, through the years, there have also been numerous allegations that Steve and Marjorie were headed toward divorce. In July 2018, Radar Online reported Steve was leaving Marjorie for Kris Jenner. The couple clapped back by sharing happy photos from one of their many vacations. Radar Online was back at it again in May 2019 when they reported Steve quietly put 4 of his Texas properties on the market in an effort to liquidate his assets ahead of a divorce battle. The website added that after a bitter blowout, Marjorie responded by taking Lori on a month-long trip around the world, a trip that Marjorie heavily documented on her Instagram account. And then, ahead of their 13th wedding anniversary in 2020, the National Enquirer alleged that Marjorie was fed up with Steve being a horn dog. An insider added the couple's marriage had been strained due to the cheating rumors, and things allegedly got worse after 2 of Steve's shows got canceled. The insider added that because Steve had cheated on both of his previous wives, Marjorie needed to be cautious. Is it true that once a cheater, always a cheater? Sometimes. According to ChoosingTherapy.com, some serial cheaters experience guilt over their actions, while others show little or no remorse. However, some people think he's finally receiving his karma for being a bad husband to his ex-wives. In August 2023, rumors swirled on social media that Marjorie cheated on Steve with his bodyguard and their chef. Some people have identified the bodyguard as Big Boom. However, here at RRG, we can confirm that Big Boom is married and lives in Texas. We're unsure if he's even still employed as Steve's bodyguard as of this video. The rumors about Marjorie's alleged affairs popped up out of nowhere, which is why RRG was hesitant to even address them. Over here, we only like to pull our information from credible sources. But anyway, Marjorie addressed the allegations in an Instagram post. She wrote, "My husband and I don't usually stop to address all the foolishness and lies that have been spread about us. However, to whom much is given, much is required. I understand that with my platform comes some sort of responsibility to those that may not be as strong as we are." What the hell? So was she getting knocked down by the bodyguard and chef or nah? That's all we want to know. Steve also shut down the rumors during an appearance at Invest Fest in Atlanta. Steve said, "Sometimes you want to respond, but I ain't got no time for rumor and gossip. God been good to me. I'm still shining." Okay. This could be yet another unfounded rumor, or there may be some truth to the allegations. Who knows? But what we do know is that Steve and Marjorie have a ton of red flags between them, which is typically a recipe for disaster. Tiana Taylor and Iman Shumpert. In September 2023, Tiana Taylor confirmed that she and her husband Iman Shumpert had separated after 7 years of marriage, and absolutely no one was surprised. In this video, we dove deep into Tiana's childhood experiences to see how her upbringing affects the way she operates in her romantic relationships. And the results were a video full of red flags that were busting us upside the head. Are y'all ready for this? Is dog meat juicy? To give you some insight into this story, we have to go way back to December 10th, 1990, when Tiana was born in New York. Her mom was a single parent while her biological dad was in prison for 13 to 14 years of her life. Studies have shown that children who grow up with absent fathers can suffer lasting damage, including depression, substance abuse, anxiety, psychological issues, a tendency for violence, and sexual and criminal activities. While mothers are able to step up and give a child the love and affection they require, the void that is left by an absent father has proven to be detrimental to a child well into their adult years. Tiana felt the effects of her father not being around early on in her life, so when her mom moved on and got engaged to someone else, Tiana was thrilled. She developed a close bond with her mom's fiancé up until he was tragically murdered when she was about 11 or 12. Tiana told Angie Martinez that the loss had a significant impact on her. When her dad was finally released from jail,
I wanted that figure so bad that yes, when he first got out, I was excited to say, Dad.
However, they began to clash almost immediately. Tiana told Angie Martinez that he tried to play an authoritative role in her life, and she wasn't about to take orders from someone who didn't even know how to operate in the real world after spending so much time in prison. As they continued to bump heads, feelings of abandonment that she tried to conceal came to the surface. She told Angie Martinez that she felt so much resentment because he was never there to protect her, and she felt like he threw her to the wolves when he left for prison. Thankfully, her mom met a new man whom Tiana now refers to as her pops. However, men would continue to disappoint her over and over and over again as she made her way through life. In 2005, she signed with Pharrell Williams' Star Trek Entertainment imprint. Tiana said Pharrell really wanted to have children at the time, so he was excited when Tiana started calling him Pops. Their bond continued to deepen as Pharrell called himself Skateboard P and Tiana referred to herself as Skateboard T. She appeared on MTV's My Super Sweet 16 and dropped her first single, Google Me, in 2008. This was around the time her personal and professional relationship with Pharrell started to crumble. Tiana admitted she put him on a pedestal, so she was devastated when he didn't protect her from outsiders who started to mismanage her career. According to Tiana, Pharrell was too non-confrontational, and he allowed outsiders to break them apart, and she was disappointed that he never protected her. The same feeling of abandonment that she experienced with her dad reared its ugly head. Her time on his label came to an end, but the constant disappointments and lack of protection she received from male figures in her professional life spilled over into her romantic relationships. She started dating NBA player Brandon Jennings, and they got engaged sometime around 2010. In 2011, during Luda Day weekend, she met rookie New York Knicks basketball player Iman Shumpert. Tiana told Vlad TV that Iman tried to talk to her, but she turned him down because she was in a relationship with Brandon. However, since Iman was living in her home state, they would bump into each other all the time. Tiana was drawn to his outgoing personality, and she loved how outspoken he was, so they decided to exchange numbers and keep in touch. Now, back to Tiana and Brandon. She told The Breakfast Club she waited until 2 years after they got engaged to knock boots for the first time. 2 years.
I got a ring 2 years before I gave up anything. You feel what I'm saying? True. I'm very proud of that. But me doing that was my decision. You know what I'm saying? It was something that I was ready for. Like, actually, when I did that, we were broken up.
She had waited 22 years to be intimate with the guy because she wanted to make sure he was the right one. And she really thought she would spend the rest of her life with Brandon. However, her fairy tale came crashing down in 2013 when her friend video vixen Tay Heckard started dating Brandon behind her back.
Oh, hell
Tiana
no.
said she found out about their relationship via online blogs.
That bitch.
He's young and in his prime and pretty much trying to have his cake and eat it too. You know what I'm saying? And I never tripped. All I asked for was just don't embarrass me. You know what I'm saying?
While appearing on The Breakfast Club, Tiana called out Tay for being 36 years old and preying on Brandon, who was only 24 at the time. Tiana added,
"My issue with Tay is what Tay did was wrong, but it's not the first time she's done it to anyone."
Now that's trifling as hell. Brandon tried to downplay his relationship with Tiana, and Tay stated she and Tiana were never friends, although Tiana later released some text messages between her and Tay that said otherwise.
Got him.
Tay and Brandon went on to get engaged, but they were unable to tie the knot because Tay was tied up in a legal domestic partnership with a woman named Monique Blanton.
Now say what now?
She just spread eagle all over the place. In June 2013, Iman went public with R&B singer Elle Varner after the two had been quietly dating for a while. Elle told Hip Hollywood she was excited to finally have their romance out in the open because she was tired of hiding it from the public. 2 months later, Iman underwent knee surgery. Tiana said after she found out he had no one around to help him through his recovery, she decided to rearrange her schedule to help take care of him for a week.
Now hold up now.
What the hell happened to Elle? Well, she and Iman were experiencing relationship issues at the time. However, Elle continued gushing about their romance during a September 4th, 2013 interview with Vibe magazine. But then, 9 days later, which was 1 month after Tiana signed up to help Iman with his recovery, Elle announced that she and the NBA player had broken up. She later expressed regret to Vibe Vixen about making their relationship public.
I bet she did.
According to Iman, Tiana actually tried to convince him to get back together with Elle, but Iman said he failed the mission.
It was during that time when Tiana was Iman's bedside nurse that things started to heat up between them. Iman touched her knee while they were sitting on the couch, and sparks flew. That'll do it. She didn't have any feelings for him beforehand, but after that moment, she fell in love. Aww. To start their relationship off on the right foot, they each sat down and created their separate hit list of the celebrities they had smashed prior to being with each other. Not a body count. Iman later told Angela Yee that they didn't want the other to feel surprised about anything that went on in their past. Oh, okay. Before going public with their relationship, they went through a few rocky situations. Iman admitted to VH1 that in the past he had the ability to cut women off and never talk to them again. But with Tiana, whenever they had a disagreement, he would crawl right back to her and start begging. She and Iman went Instagram official on Iman's birthday in June 2014, and they made their first public appearance at that year's BET Hip Hop Awards. Despite both of them being 24 and with busy careers, they decided to have a baby. In September 2015, Iman announced they were expecting their first child. In his social media caption, he wrote, "When a man loves a woman how she was born to be loved, procreation is the best blessing you can receive." I know that's right. They announced their engagement 2 months later at Tiana's baby shower, and she gave birth to their daughter Iman Jr. in December 2015 inside the bathroom of their Cleveland home. We ain't gonna talk about it, so y'all just gonna glaze over that. By 2016, she was signed to Kanye West's Good Music label. During that year's MTV Video Music Awards, Kanye debuted his music video for the song Fade, which featured a scantily clad Tiana and Iman looking sexy as hell. While Tiana hoped Kanye's label would drop her album shortly after the premiere to capitalize on the attention she was receiving, he dropped the ball. Once again, she felt unappreciated, and the lack of support from Kanye created a ripple effect. The previous instances of men who let her down and abandoned her came back to the surface. When childhood trauma is left unaddressed, it can negatively impact relationship skills and brain function well into adulthood. Studies have shown that healing from those adverse circumstances is possible, which then results in better relationships and a higher quality of life. However, without addressing the inner turmoil, it's possible for someone to get trapped in a never-ending cycle of negative experiences and pain. By September 2016, there were rumors of trouble in paradise. Social media users noticed Iman commenting on an Instagram photo posted by Sarah Snyder, who was dating Jaden Smith at the time. Now hold up now. His comment was a request for Sarah to DM him, and Sarah responded, LMFAO, okay. After the Shade Room caught wind of the tomfoolery, Iman commented on their post that it was all business. He wrote, "I apologize for the nonsense. Next time I'll just call around for numbers. Sorry for the drama." Tiana also reportedly went through his DMs to prove that there was nothing shady going on between them.
But for real though, babe, that make me look like a lame.
That's real.
I don't DM to get no girl.
First of all, we do it everywhere. He don't even need to go get it nowhere else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
While that crisis was averted, more allegations popped up that same month when photos of Iman with other women resurfaced online. Iman took to his Instagram to confirm that the photos were old. A month later, in October 2016, Tiana and Iman quietly tied the knot at their home. With the increased attention on their relationship and their family life, the couple signed up to appear in a reality show. But the rumors surrounding their relationship really blew up in June 2018. Unnamed sources put Iman on blast for hooking up with adult star Sophie Brousseau, otherwise known as the mother of Drake's child. I know you lying. Iman took to his Instagram to share that he had an interaction with Sophie way back in the day before he even had the chance to date Tiana. Okay. Why wasn't her name on the body count list? A month later, after releasing her second studio album, KTSE, Tiana decided to give the world some information that absolutely no one asked for. Lord, let me sit down for this. In her song Three-Way, she sings, Three-way, I couldn't wait to have with you, 'cause I know it turned you on. So let's do it, babe, 'cause two heads are better than one. Now listen, we don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. And whatever these freaky-deaky celebs want to do behind closed doors is their business. But we've done enough of these red flag videos to know that adding a third person to the bedroom rarely ends well for couples. In a book by Kinsey Institute intimacy researcher Dr. Justin LaMiller, he revealed that 95% of men and 87% of women ages 18 to 87 fantasize about being with multiple partners at the same time.
Granddaddy, get somewhere and sit down. If you don't take your geriatric genitalia somewhere and sit down.
But among those who had acted on it, the research revealed that three-way action is, quote, the fantasy that was least likely to turn out well. Many of the study's participants revealed they went ahead with it primarily for their partner's benefit. In other cases, one partner agrees to engage in the act as a way to make the other partner happy or to stop their partner from cheating on them behind their back. And as most of us know, getting into these situations for the wrong reasons is a recipe for disaster.
Sure is.
As for Tiana, she felt the wrath from her fans who were disappointed in the lyrics of her song. So she took to her Twitter and said to a fan, "Just because I repeat, me, enjoy busting bitches down from time to time with my husband doesn't mean I don't respect self. So you should go and enjoy your whack-ass sex life and stay out of mine."
You tell him, girl.
She also confirmed during a chat for the Bumble dating app that she's the one who initiated their encounters. In another song called Issues, Hold On, she explores all the ugly feelings that come with being in love in the public eye. Alluding to possible marital issues, Tiana sings, "This is deeper than you and other women. This is daddy issues. This is years putting up with the wrong type." So not only were they experiencing issues with fidelity, but Tiana was still allowing her past to wreak havoc on her life. Their reality show Tiana and Iman premiered in March 2018 and was supposed to contain 8 episodes. But when the show went off the air after episode 6, rumors emerged that Tiana and Iman had split up after he was caught cheating on her. Tiana took to her Instagram to post a video of her dancing with Iman, alongside a caption that read, "The only split she was doing was a split on Iman's dangalang." No matter how many lovey-dovey videos she posted, they couldn't escape the rumors that their relationship was headed down the toilet.
Somebody bring me some toilet paper.
Tiana gave birth to their second daughter, Rue, in September 2020. They signed up for a new reality show in 2021 called We Got Love, Tiana and Iman. But after a successful first season, the show wasn't renewed for season 2, which sparked even more breakup rumors. And well, where there's smoke, there is fire.
Okay.
That brings us to February 2022. A TikTok user posted a blind item alleging that an unnamed singer suffered an overdose after finding out that her husband cheated on her.
Say what now?
People put 2 and 2 together and assumed the blind item was about Tiana and Iman. And you know Tiana wasn't going to sit quiet about all the speculation. She told Ebony magazine she had never used substances in her life and that her health issues were actually related to a liver condition. Tiana claimed she was going to pursue legal action against the TikTok user. However, we're unsure if she went through with it. Iman also denied the allegations. After experiencing so many disappointments in the music industry, she decided to step away from making music in 2022 to focus on other projects. In 2023, she appeared in the movie 1001. She told Yahoo that at the time of the filming, she was still suffering from postpartum depression, and she was dealing with grief after losing several childhood friends. She stated, "Any type of quiet battles I was fighting or struggles, I was able to pour it all into Inez and really give it my all. And I think that's what made it so real and authentic because every single emotion was real." Was there something more going on behind the scenes that she wasn't sharing with her fans? Absolutely. Although Iman wished her a happy Mother's Day and she wished him a happy birthday, fans noticed they were noticeably absent from each other's social media feeds. Tiana was also spotted attending various industry events without her husband. Then came September 11th, 2023, when Iman was accused of stepping out on Tiana. Again. This time, the Neighborhood Talk posted a video of Iman in a bathroom surrounded by a group of barely dressed women. And then in another video shared to social media, a woman can be seen wearing his chain. The woman spoke up and said she was one of Iman's artists and the chain was hers.
Girl, stop lying.
Unsurprisingly, we didn't find a lick of music on her Instagram profile. Not a nan song. While fans told the haters to pipe down and leave Tiana, Iman, and their eclectic relationship alone, Tiana finally came clean a week later that she and Iman were separated. She made sure to mention that infidelity wasn't the cause of their split. Girl, stop lying. She added, "The only reason I'm even sharing this part of the chat is because the narratives are getting a little out of hand, and it's unfair to all parties involved. I hope this provided some clarity for y'all." Despite these recent developments, we wouldn't be surprised if they worked things out. During a 2020 interview with XO Nicole, Iman stated that no matter what they go through, it always brings them closer together. But perhaps this is the best time for Tiana to address her past, her issues with her father and other men in the industry, and her tendency to accept the alleged trifling behavior Iman has exposed her to. Or maybe we just need to sit here and mind our business. Nah. T.I. and Tiny. T.I. and Tiny go way back like 4 flats on a Cadillac, and the red flags have been busting us upside the head from the very beginning. This February 2023 video just surpassed 700,000 views on YouTube, and we think we know why. Tell me why, girl. Because our besties know that anything involving T.I. and Tiny is bound to be a hot, stinking mess. You ain't never lied. Shall we jump right into this throwback video? Expeditiously. Well, before we get into it, you better get your snacks on deck, Patron on ice, and we can pop bottles all night, and baby, you can have whatever you like. At rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has thousands of 5-star reviews.
The chemistry of you and I cannot be duplicated. You can put you with somebody else, you can put me with somebody else, you ain't gonna get the same thing, man. You know what I mean? It ain't the same fireworks, it ain't the same combustion. You just can't get it.
You're so stupid.
Since there's way too much hot, stinking mess to unpack with this one, we don't have time to give y'all an introduction. So let's jump right into the red flags in the King of the South and his queen's relationship, shall we? Clifford T.I. Harris and Tamika Tiny Cottle's romance goes way back to the beginning of the new millennium when Tiny was a member of the girl group Escape, and T.I. had released his debut album but was still trying to get his career popping off. They knew each other from the Atlanta music scene. Tiny was a fan of his music and told Vlad TV, "His southern twang was too sexy to me." It's sexy to me too, one day, the mother of one saw a guy walking in the mall looking fly as hell. That guy was T.I., of course. They exchanged information, met up at a local eatery, and got to know each other over a plate of chicken wings. They played phone tag for a little bit, but when they finally hooked up again, it was on and poppin'. In 2004, 29-year-old Tiny and 23-year-old T.I. welcomed their son, King. 2 years later, the world was introduced to T.I.'s alleged freaky-deaky lifestyle. The year was 2006. T.I. already had 4 studio albums to his name and was consistent with releasing hit after hit after hit. With his increased notoriety, the women were reportedly all over his little bite-sized self. An anonymous video vixen told a gossip website she was at an Atlanta nightclub when she met T.I. and Flavor of Love reality star Nikki Hoops Alexander. The woman claimed T.I. and Hoops were in some sort of relationship, and Hoops was being flirty with her. At the end of the night, T.I. allegedly suggested they all go back to his house for some 3-way action. Allegedly. Now, what you'll notice throughout this video is that despite T.I. being linked to other women, he always makes his way back to Tiny. So the rumors about him and Hoops fizzled out, and by 2007, Tiny was pregnant with their second child. Sadly, the pregnancy resulted in a stillbirth in March 2007. Now, Nicole Scherzinger is a name you don't hear too often around these parts, but it's kinda crazy that she's about to make back-to-back appearances on RRG. She was recently featured in our messy Big Sean and Janae Aiko video, which we've linked for you in the description box, and now she's involved in this T.I. and Tiny mess. In 2007, T.I. collaborated with Nicole on her single, Whatever You Like. The rapper also made a cameo in the music video, and child, Nicole was all over Tiny's man, like white on rice. Don't blame her. Years later, Nicole alluded to knowing how T.I. and Tiny get down behind closed doors. During an appearance on the E! podcast, Lady Gang, Nicole was asked what comes to mind when thinking about certain entertainers. When T.I.'s name was mentioned, Nicole described him as being hot.
The podcast co-host Becca Tobin then chimed in.
One time he and Tiny invited me over for dinner. Yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. Oh, I was quite flattered. They were like, why didn't you guess what's for dinner? You
Was Nicole speaking from experience? According to Tiny, they planned a wedding in 2007, but T.I. has no recollection of it.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Oh, we were planning the whole wedding.
Don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember?
I don't remember planning the wedding. I don't remember that. But tell everybody. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, anyway, that didn't work out.
Instead, T.I. was gearing up for that year's BET Hip Hop Awards. But hours before the event, he was locked up after he gave his bodyguard $12,000 to buy 3 machine guns and 2 silencers. This was a big no-no considering T.I. was already a convicted felon at the time. He was facing 10 years but worked out a plea deal and was sentenced to 1 year behind bars. The MTV reality show T.I.'s Road to Redemption followed him for 45 days up until his sentencing. He and Tiny welcomed their son Major in May 2008, and T.I. began serving his federal sentence in 2009. With T.I. in an Arkansas penitentiary, Tiny and Toya Johnson teamed up for the reality show Tiny and Toya. The series showed Tiny as she juggled single mommyhood and tried to reignite her music career. Upon his release, T.I. described himself as a changed man and said he was ready to be a positive influence on the youth. He and Tiny finally got married in July 2010 after close to 10 years of dating. And just 2 months after tying the knot, they were back in some mess. He and Tiny were locked up in West Hollywood after cops found ecstasy in their vehicle. Tiny confirmed the substance belonged to her. Although the charges against T.I. were dropped, he was still ordered to report to federal prison for 11 months after a judge ruled his arrest and a failed drug test violated his probation on his previous weapons conviction. The charges against Tiny were later dismissed after she completed 24 sessions of a certified drug diversion program in Georgia. So T.I. was hauled off to the clinker, and during a June 2011 visit, guards caught Tiny rubbing T.I.'s meat pipe. I know you lying. Of course, that kind of contact isn't allowed, so T.I. was immediately hauled off to a special housing unit that consisted of more security and less freedom, and Tiny was told to get to steppin'. After getting released and spending time in a halfway house, the Kang was back home with his family by September 2011, and their reality show T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle, premiered in December. Fans were given a front row seat to the blended family's daily life, but behind the scenes, T.I. and Tiny were going through some major issues. Tiny said that while T.I. was behind bars, she found her voice and started being less timid. So when he came back home, her new demeanor took him by surprise. What Tiny needed from him was understanding. But instead, T.I. went out and found some new sugar walls to dive into.
Lord, not the sugar walls.
Found him somebody that he can be like, hey, don't move, submit this, do that. And then I was not, you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
But as always, the Harrises worked through their issues and patched things up. Things were quiet for a few years up until 2014 when it was reported that they got into some sort of altercation on the Grammys' red carpet. And then the girl group Tiny created called French Kiss abruptly disbanded. Sources later told Bossip website that French Kiss broke up because T.I. allegedly had an affair with one of the group members. It might sound like T.I. was the one stepping out, but sources claim Tiny was doing her own thing as well, with Floyd Mayweather. During a May 2014 trip to Las Vegas, she reportedly spent time with the boxing champ and posted a picture of her and Floyd's daughter on her Instagram. T.I., who was also in Vegas at the time, saw the picture and took it as a sign that Floyd and Tiny were bumping uglies. So T.I. pulled up on Floyd in a Fatburger eatery. In a video obtained by online sources, T.I. takes a swing at Floyd. You can also see chairs flying all over the place and Floyd yelling at T.I. to control your... Tiny was reportedly somewhere else in Vegas when the altercation went down, and she later confirmed she was never intimate with Floyd. By 2016, it appeared that their marriage was back on track. Tiny gave birth to their daughter, Eris, in April of that year. But 5 months later, the ish hit the fan. A video popped up online of Tiny in a bikini outfit and T.I. in his drawers in a room full of butt-naked women. In the video, it appears that Tiny is rubbing on a woman sitting beside her. People took the footage as proof that T.I. and Tiny were some freaks. Unfortunately, we can't show the footage on our family-friendly channel. Then in December 2016, Tiny filed for divorce. To some, it seemed like the divorce filing was a warning shot to get her husband to act right. During a January 2017 interview with Street View TV, Tiny said, "I'm not gonna go back to T.I. He need to come back to me, baby. I'm where I'm supposed to be at." They were scheduled to appear in court in March 2017, but the hearing was canceled after the judge realized T.I. hadn't been served with divorce papers. So Tiny refiled her divorce petition in April 2017. That same month, T.I. appeared on the Angie Martinez show and said his marriage was a distraction. And at that time, he could be a better best friend than a husband. He added, "I just have a purpose, and I just don't always have the time to do the thoughtful and considerate things that a husband should do." Perhaps he wasn't in a rush to get back with Tiny because he was munching on Instagram model Bernice Burgess's fur burger. Although Tiny called Bernice a pass-around, she also confirmed Bernice came into the picture after the divorce papers were filed. So if Bernice wasn't the reason she and T.I. split up, why did Tiny try to get her then bestie Shakana to jump Bernice? Well, that's what Shakana claimed during an Instagram live session at least. While T.I. and Tiny were going through whatever they were going through, Tiny moved out of their marital home.
For those who don't understand, Tip had some infidelities with a girl who I hired, and that girl is one of the reasons why I got my own house.
Now, if this ain't messy enough, Rob Kardashian cranked the messiness up a notch during an online argument with his ex-fiancée, Blac Chyna. In a series of Instagram posts, Rob accused Chyna of cheating on him with several men, and T.I., as if he didn't have enough things to worry about in his own life, decided to enter the chat. Commenting on one of Rob's posts, T.I. wrote, "Why bring your business to IG though? Look, you got work, bro, but at least keep it to yourself." T.I. then went on to call Rob a big duck, a mighty duck, Ronald McDonald the duck, Scrooge McDuck, Howard the duck, and told him he needed to take his L and move on. That comment was exactly what Rob needed to air T.I. all the way out. Rob posted a screenshot of T.I.'s comment and wrote, "Since T.I. want to chime in on business that don't concern him, let's talk about the threesome you had with Chyna and your baby mama, Tiny." Yeah, let's talk about it, T.I. Rob then clarified that T.I. actually paid Chyna to engage in the three-way act, and that shut T.I. all the way up. Despite still dealing with their divorce proceedings, T.I. wished Tiny a happy 42nd birthday in July 2017. In his Instagram message, he also wrote, "In my eyes, we didn't break up. We evolved into something unconditional, a relationship that supersedes fidelity, physical presence, or any other disagreement we may have faced." What the hell that mean? What was T.I. really trying to say when he mentioned their relationship supersedes fidelity? Well, shortly after that birthday post, an insider told Hollywood Life website that T.I. held all the power in their pending divorce. He was allegedly done with monogamy and would only call off the divorce if Tiny agreed to have an open marriage. The insider added, T.I. still loves Tiny, and he says he always will, but he just can't stay faithful to her. There are so many hot women out there, and they're always throwing themselves at Tip, and he just can't resist. So did that mean Tiny was free to see other men? Not quite. The insider stated that Tiny getting her back blown out by other men was something T.I. wouldn't even entertain. And then came another bombshell. An online website wrote that Master P had been making Tiny say, nah, for the past 2 years. Master P took to his Instagram to deny the allegation. In September 2017, the couple officially called off their divorce, and in July 2018, T.I. was caught slapping another woman's butt backstage at one of his shows. The woman was later identified as entertainer Asia Epperson.
The video ain't really the issue. The video being posted up on social media is the issue. If someone would have sent her that video privately, she and I would have had one conversation about it, and it would have been over.
Was that enough for Tiny to walk away for good? Nope. 2021 brought more craziness when their former friend Sabrina Peterson accused T.I. of putting a weapon to her head during an altercation with his assistant. She also posted screenshots of DMs from women who accused the couple of taking advantage of them and forcing them to take substances. Tiny and T.I. both denied the allegations. In February 2021, a lawyer sought to pursue criminal charges on behalf of up to 11 people who claim to have been victimized by the couple or members of their entourage. Due to the accusations, VH1 suspended the filming of Family Hustle before canceling the show entirely. Shekinah took to her Instagram to defend Tiny and T.I. and even accused Sabrina of having intimate relations with the couple and recruiting women for them. Sabrina eventually hit Tiny, T.I., and Shekinah with defamation charges following their online exchange. Shekinah and Tiny's friendship crumbled soon thereafter when Shekinah accused Tiny of not standing up for her against online haters. Shekinah later backtracked on her previous comments about Sabrina and said Tiny coerced her to make those statements. In the end, the LA District Attorney's Office declined to pursue criminal charges because the alleged incidents exceeded the statute of limitations. As of this video, T.I. and Tiny are keeping it cute and maintaining a low profile. It also appears that T.I. has deactivated his Instagram, unless he blocked RRG and we're just unable to see his profile. They are focusing on their careers, including their new Trap City Cafe in Atlanta. T.I. has performed stand-up comedy and is also gearing up for his 12th and final studio album. As for Tiny, she's still performing with Escape, and they will appear alongside SWV on a new reality show called The Queens of R&B that's set to premiere in March 2023. The couple will celebrate 13 years of marriage in 2023, and although the ding-ding-dings have demolished our red flag detector, we wish them nothing but the best. Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel. In November 2022, we broke the internet with our Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel red flag video. Apparently, many of our besties had no idea that their relationship history has more lumps and bumps than a BBL booty. Before dating Jessica, Justin was in an on-again, off-again relationship with actress Cameron Diaz for close to 4 years. During an appearance on the Ellen DeGeneres show, Ellen asked when he was going to propose to Cameron, and Ellen joked that she needed to purchase her bridesmaid dress. Justin responded, "Know what? Go ahead and reserve one. The only thing is, you'll have to stay the same size for the next 15 years. Justin and Cameron broke up sometime in late 2006, but they didn't announce their split until January 2007. Days later, they ran into each other at Prince's Golden Globes after-party at a Hollywood nightclub. Witnesses told People magazine that Jessica, who was the star of the show Seventh Heaven at the time, was at the party as well. She and Justin formally met for the first time and were chatting with some mutual friends when Cameron pulled up on them. Jessica excused herself from the conversation, and Justin and Cameron were seen having an intense 40-minute argument. In the end, Justin was allegedly seen holding his head in his hands, and in an act of frustration, he allegedly slammed his fist down into a cabinet. He had some nerve tearing up them people's furniture. He regained his composure, and he really wanted to pick up things where they left off with Jessica. He eventually got her number, and they kept in touch as he headed back out on tour. Justin told Us Weekly that they spoke on the phone for the next 2 weeks. As he got to know her more and more, he was interested, while Jessica was already envisioning their future. She sent an email to a friend that said, "I know I'm going to marry this man." After his tour ended, he returned home, and they spent an entire month together. It was at that time that Justin was ready to stop playing the field, and he asked Jessica to be exclusive. Of course, she said yes. By May of 2007, which was 4 months after they met, Jessica joined him on the European leg of his tour. Things were going so well that online sources reported Justin asked Jessica to move in with him in June 2008. An insider told Just Jared website, "They're both really excited. They're definitely headed for marriage." But ahead of Valentine's Day 2009, a friend told Us Weekly that Justin dumped Jessica because the streets were calling, and he wanted to experience single life again. However, Jessica reportedly begged him to reconsider, and things were fine up until July 2009 when Justin took a boys' trip to Vegas, and Jessica reportedly blew up his phone the whole time while he was away. An insider said, "She's extremely needy and is always keeping tabs on him. All of Justin's friends think she is really annoying. She's always trying to be one of the guys, but she and Justin have no chemistry." And then in November 2009, Us Weekly reported that Justin was enjoying Rihanna's cake. And then he reportedly took Jessica on a trip to North Carolina and dumped her. Again. A mutual friend of the couple told the publication, he told her he was done. She was too much to deal with. So, as you can see, the couple reportedly had a pattern of breakups to makeups. And someone in their inner circle clearly had gossip magazines on speed dial to report every single split and reconciliation. Things came to a head once again in April 2010 when Justin was cast in the movie Bad Teacher alongside his ex-girlfriend Cameron Diaz. A friend close to the couple told Us Weekly he tortured Jess by taking this role, and they are reaching a breaking point. The insider added that Justin and Cameron were reportedly flirting on set, and the more territorial and demanding Jessica got, the more Justin got closer to Cameron. The same insider said Justin would never marry Jessica. They added, when she's not around, he'll make fun of her to his friends. So he was allegedly dogging her out in front of her face and behind her back? Dang, dog. But Cameron was the least of Jessica's worries. In September 2010, Us Weekly reported Justin met actress Olivia Munn at a MySpace event. After exchanging numbers, Justin allegedly started hounding Olivia and begging her to meet up. Online sources state Olivia resisted his advances and told him she wasn't interested if he was still dating Jessica. Justin allegedly told her that he and Jessica were over, and thinking that he was single, Olivia allegedly met up with him in New York, and they had a 3-day fling that included some boot knocking at a hotel, according to Us Weekly. And then came 2011, and Justin allegedly found more ways to show Jessica he wasn't interested. She threw him a surprise 30th birthday party and gave a mushy-gushy speech in front of the guests. Witnesses claim Jessica was crying a river as she reminisced about the day they met and how much she was in love with him. According to Glamour magazine, Justin was so embarrassed by Jessica's speech that he allegedly stood up and yelled, "Yeah!" to divert everyone's attention away from her. Shortly after his party, Justin told Jessica, "You thought I was feeling you?" He reportedly opened up about his feelings by telling her he didn't want to marry her. They quietly broke up, and after Justin was spotted getting cozy with his Friends with Benefits co-star Mila Kunis, and everyone thought he was cheating on Jessica, he and Jessica released a statement to officially announce their relationship was over. A friend told Us Weekly Justin had been, quote, aggressively trying to end things with Jessica for the past month. Another insider added, he hasn't been happy with Jessica for close to 2 years. 2 years? He really led her on for 2 whole years? Psh. This appears to be their longest known breakup, and after a few months, Justin had a change of heart. He told Vanity Fair that Jessica was the most significant person in his life, and he was thinking more about the future, including getting married and starting a family. And Jessica took him back once again. They reconciled sometime during the summer of 2011, and in December of that year, they headed out to a piece of property they co-owned in Montana. They went snowboarding, and right there in the middle of the snow, Justin asked her for her hand in marriage, and she said yes. News of their engagement hit the internet, and everyone was genuinely happy for them. Well, almost everyone. The writer for the gossip website called Celeb wrote, "Everything seems back on track for Bill and Timberlake. And by on track, I mean that everything is a complete mess, but Jessica won't stand up to Justin because she's so hypnotized by the idea of becoming a bride." Now listen, we love us a big hunk of juicy gossip. However, we weren't sure if the website was speaking facts or just hating on Justin and Jessica. But as we kept reading their article, it was clear that an insider close to the couple was feeding the gossip website all of Justin and Jessica's little business. The insider said Jessica's family wasn't happy about the engagement because they weren't sure of Justin's intentions. The insider added, Jessica's dad and her mom will never forget the hurt Justin caused their daughter. The website also stated that after their engagement, Justin allegedly reverted back to his bad boy ways, and Jessica was finding, quote, phone numbers from girls in his pockets. Despite all of that, they moved forward with planning their wedding, and Jessica allegedly decided to go an unconventional route to make sure Justin wasn't going to slang his thing all over town. According to the New York Daily News, Jessica had her attorney create a lifestyle clause, which is a document that can include anything from weight requirements between partners, frequency of intimacy, and ultimatums addressing infidelity. According to the source, Jessica made Justin agree to pay her $500,000 if he ever cheats on her. And if you have to do all of that, maybe you shouldn't even bother getting married? They tied the knot in Italy in October 2012. They welcomed their first child in April 2015, and things were quiet for the couple, up until October 2019 when Justin was spotted holding hands with his Palmer co-star, Alicia Wainwright, during a night out in New Orleans. Justin later took to his Instagram to apologize for his behavior, and he insisted that nothing else happened between him and Alicia. But an insider told Us Weekly that Justin and Jessica were having trouble getting past the scandal, and they talked to lawyers about the possibility of ending their marriage and what assets Jessica would acquire in a potential divorce. The source claimed Jessica used to turn a blind eye to Justin's naughty behavior, but she was ready to set some new ground rules to keep him in check. People magazine reported they had attended couples counseling because she was willing to fight for their marriage. But was Justin ready to do the same? A second source said Justin went into overdrive to make things right by sending Jessica lots of gifts, flowers, and text messages about how she's, quote, the hottest wife and mom in the world. And then in July 2022, they announced Jessica had given birth to baby number 2. Some no-good online users described the child as a Band-Aid baby, which is a term that's used to describe a child that is conceived in order to save a relationship that's on the rocks. As of this video, the couple put their $35 million Los Angeles mansion up for sale and moved out to a property they owned in Tennessee, far away from the hustle and bustle of Hollywood. One can only hope that the change of scenery brings them peace and happiness. So although the red flags are hitting us all upside the head, we wish Jessica and Justin nothing but the best.